Everybody ready?
Yes, sir.
You got your mic on?
It's
Judd?
off. I'll turn it on.
Mr. Chairman, just
Yeah.
This conference will now be recorded.
hopefully next week we'll have it restored, so if you need the screen, this is your only screen available. Thankfully, it's facing the public.
Or if we were streaming it via YouTube, we could watch it on our computers.
You could. It's based on the camera angle that Ken sets back there.
Right.
Just
All right.
point that out.
Thank you. All right, very well. So I'd like to call the Board of Supervisors Budget Work Session number 4 to order. The first agenda item is let the record show that we do have a quorum with all members present. Would please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance in a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, we've got an agenda here. So next order of business, the adoption of the agenda. Are there any changes as presented that you have, Mr. Weekly? Anybody, anything from the board? Very well, I entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt the agenda as presented. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is public comment. We for all Board of Supervisors meetings, we have a period of public comment at the beginning and again at the end of our meetings for any general public comment. It doesn't have to be on anything that's on the agenda, it could be for anything. So public comment period is open. Nothing coming in over there, okay. Very well, we'll close public comment and move on to the budget work session. So we have a presentation, the FY '27 budget requests. First up, we've got Germanna Community College with Dr. Griffith. Dr. Griffith?
Good afternoon. Probably going to hold this because it's a bit easier. Thank you all for having me this afternoon. It was really important for me to be here today, and you would probably be relieved to note that I'm here in person, not asking for money. I'm here actually to introduce myself as the new president of Germanna Community College, and I'm here today to also thank each and every one of you for the support that you have provided to the college. So with that, I wanted to give some of you a refresher and some of you an introduction to Germanna and who we are and what we do and how that directly impacts the citizens, the students of Madison County. So, next slide. Who we are. We are a community college that serves and provides over 70 plus certificates, degrees, workforce credentials at a third of a cost of four-year institutions. We partner with over 45 colleges and universities across the Commonwealth. You see some of them represented here, UMW, VCU, George Mason, Old Dominion, JMU. I will have to say, as a Hokie, it's my fault that that's not listed here, but I'll know better for next time. I saw a UVA, I did notice that. But those are some of our top transfer partners. So we work very, very closely with those institutions, and our students do very well as they transfer into those programs. Next slide. So when we talk about who we are, we service over 14,000 students annually. And you'll see over 70% of our students are part-time. So what that means is a lot of our students have jobs, they're fully employed, they're coming to us to really expand their opportunities, but they're coming to us with a lot of responsibilities on their plates. So we have overly represented our female students, and we are working to ensure that our male students are equally represented, but we know a lot of our students just in general, including our male students, are out there working, right, for their families. Over 70%, 78 specifically, of our students are age 24 and under. And we know that's highly in part to our dual enrollment students. A lot of our students are represented in our high schools. And then we have 22% of our students are age 25 and over. Next slide. So when we talk about who we are, we can't talk about who we are without talking about who we represent. And I did note with Madison County, we are proud partners. We service Culpeper, Orange, Spotsylvania, the city of Fredericksburg, Stafford, King George, and Caroline County. So our reach is pretty expansive. And we are doing our best to make sure that no one county feels as if they're a stepchild or left behind. Again, another reason why I wanted to be here in person today to speak to all of you. Next slide. So when we talk about Madison County at a glance, next slide, you'll see for Madison County, we have over 190 students, 196 students from Madison County specifically that are represented with us this academic year. We talked about dual enrollment earlier. You'll see 47% of our Madison County students are in our dual enrollment program. And you'll see that our 12% are represented in our workforce or our CTE programs. And we're really hoping to grow that number. We have a rising number of students. I was having a conversation with Superintendent Graham before coming here today, and we were talking about how we need to expand our partnership to ensure that we are offering welding, HVAC, electrician, some of those CTE workforce training programs to our students who have those desires and needs. So we're talking about how we're going to expand and increase that 12% number for our workforce and our students. So 62% of our students are represented online, and we have a growing number of students who, because I would imagine they work and they want some convenience, are taking courses online. So 62% in person, 38% online for Madison County. And then again, we see that 96% of our Madison County students are part-time and 4% are full-time. So a lot of our students, again, being stretched and working with responsibilities, I'm sure, represents that part-time number. Next slide. So when we think about our Madison County High School, again, our strong partnership, our students, their top programs are represented here. Many of our students in Madison are transferring to four-year institutions. A lot of our students are represented at Madison in healthcare. We do have our nursing programs and health sciences, so that's a large representation for Madison in that program, as well as education. Some of you may not know, but we do have a Future Educators Academy at our Daniel Technology Center in Culpeper, so many of the Madison students are taking advantage of that teacher prep academy and doing great work there. And then we have quite a few of our Madison students in our business program. So I wanted to make sure you understood how deep our partnership is. We do have a career advisor embedded within the high school, within Madison High School, Ms. Lisa Shiflett. And she works very, very directly and well with a lot of our high school students to ensure that they understand the options that are available at Germanna Community College for those students, the programs that are available, transfer, workforce included. And Ms. Shiflett does a really good job in working with those students to make sure that they have access to these academic opportunities and workforce opportunities. So I wanted to make sure I highlighted that. Again, I wanted to thank you all, and I wanted to leave you with a Madison County student, Megan Cross, who's in our Future Academy program. And I wanted to share a video of one of the students and a teacher actually talking about the great work that Megan's doing to make sure that as she gives back to Madison County as a teacher, she's kind of passing the torch, right, and paying it forward with her service. So I want to leave you with that video, and again, thank you for the opportunity to share this information, and thank you for all that you do to support our students in Germanna Community College.
I will be full transparency. When I was approached originally about it, I had some hesitation just because of previous situations when I had some, students from the high school and had to do a little bit more babysitting, I guess, more than delegating. And so I did have some hesitation, and after a further conversation with David, I accepted a student. Am I allowed to say the student's name? Is that okay? I accepted Megan, and Megan has been phenomenal. What I've seen is just a phenomenal drive to work. The work ethic is great. The mannerisms in which she carries herself is top of the line professional. And she is just a go-getter, always seeking to learn, to do more. So I do really encourage other folks to give it a shot. Like I said, I was hesitant at the get-go, but I am so thankful to have this opportunity to host Megan and look forward to hosting more students in the future.
That's your impact. Thank you. Of course.
Are the dual credit classes still available to high school students where they actually go on campus?
Yes.
You still have that?
We offer it. We are having to reevaluate just with some budget constraints on how often we are able to offer it, but we are making sure that we have opportunities for all students to have access to that program.
That's great. Have you had any ongoing issues with some of the university partners that are, they give you pushback on some of the dual enrollment classes that you teach?
No, I wouldn't say it's pushback. I think it's part and parcel to the great relationship we're having with the universities. I think, and this is me coming from a university, so I'm a little bit biased. I think sometimes there's a disconnect or a misunderstanding in terms of academic rigor. And some folks feel as if it's coming from dual enrollment, the attention to the academic rigor may be a little bit less. But we work very closely with our university partners to make sure they understand the curriculum offerings, the curriculum itself, provide some input, and that's kind of helped in terms of their doubt about the rigor and kind of what's being taught outside of kind of their control. We kind of get buy-in by making sure they see that ahead of time. So that's kind of helped with some of the initial concerns in terms of the academic rigor.
Good, because I know 20 years ago when the agreements first came into being, I was actually teaching at PVCC, and I know that the University of Virginia was really picky about our dual enrollment. They would take the dual credit because they said it's being taught by your faculty and not high school teachers, and I know that's not a valid argument. I do know that UVA really pushed back. But I know I've had a lot of your students who transferred to JMU, and I had them, and they did very well. They were more mature. They knew what they wanted. And, you know, the community college system is fantastic. You all do a great job. And I'm welcome here. I'm glad.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We were having that conversation just earlier in terms of the benefit of our students starting at a community college and then transferring into a four-year institution. We talk about affordability. Obviously, that's the most important part. As I mentioned earlier, we offer it at a third of a cost, but it's really kind of a ground to get their footing. Some students really don't do well as a first-year student, 18 or 19 years old, and they're walking into a classroom with 150 other students for psychology, and they're having to figure it out. So what's beautiful about Germanna and a lot of our other community colleges, they have a smaller classroom size. The faculty actually know their name, they're not a number, and they get that 2 years of really understanding how to successfully navigate college. So by the time they transfer into a four-year institution, they're pros. So the success rate is really higher for students who've had that community college education and they're transferring into that four-year institution. So that's another reason why our partnerships with the universities has kind of, you know, really improved, because they understand that we're helping their graduation rates as well. So we're really more partners than competitors. We would love that.
Dr. Griffith, thank you for that presentation. Question regarding, everybody's talking about AI these days and how it's going to affect our students and our job outlook, their job outlooks when they come out of college. What do you see as an educator that's going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years? What jobs or what curriculum is going to be strong, and what curriculum do you have now that may not be as strong, and how are you guys pivoting to address that?
So that's a great question, and it's one that's readily at top of mind for a lot of our faculty and just across the board throughout the Commonwealth at all the community colleges. We understand that running away from this new type of technology is not the answer. The students are going to use it anyway, right? In fact, when you do that, the likelihood of they're going kind of underground even more and using it increases. So we've talked about how do you embrace it? How do you embrace it in the curriculum? And one of the examples that I provided as a former high school teacher was how you embed it in the curriculum to get students to understand that It's not something that you rely on. It's a sounding board for you to kind of utilize and apply critical thinking to. So I'll give a very specific example. When I was at my previous institution, I introduced curriculum where for teaching and instruction, students had to create a learning plan. So one of the things that I suggested to a faculty member, I said, why don't you have the students go into AI, you can use ChatGPT, Claude AI, I mean, there's so many different options, and have it create a lesson plan for the students. And they said, well, I don't know, because they're not doing it themselves. I said, but wait, have the prompt create a lesson plan, and then once they get the lesson plan, the assignment will be, you will critique what ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini told you and what they spit out, and then you will say what you would change, what you would improve, what worked, what didn't work. So you're still applying critical thinking skills to the AI, reproduction or outcome that it gave you. So it's another example of how you kind of use the tool to assist you and not think of it as the enemy of you, because a lot of, you all know this, employers and industry partners, businesses are using AI. So how do we get our students to practice this in the classroom so they can use it as another marketing tool to say, I have this experience, I've done work, I've done kind of a lot of assignments that uses AI, I know how to use it, I don't rely on it to substitute for my brain power, I use it to kind of help create and innovate even more. So that's been some of the conversations. How do you embed it in it? Because it's not gonna go away, it's a new type of technology. Just like 10 to 15 years ago, there was an uproar when, or 20 years ago with Wikipedia. What will Wikipedia do? What will students do? Now we found a way to source it, right? So it's just using that and being innovative about that.
We need every student to learn it. And maybe I don't know if you have an AI class, but how to use
We
AI.
have a lot of AI.
But everybody's gonna have to use it in the workplace.
Exactly.
And so which careers, though, I guess back to my point, what careers do you see going up? And which careers do you see might not be as popular 10 years from now because of AI that's going to be out there?
I don't know if it's dependent upon AI for declines or increases, but I definitely think that we're still trying to figure out from our industry partners how AI is going to impact their industry. And I don't know if I have a clear-cut answer for that yet, because we're still talking to our industry partners for them to inform us of that. Right now, we do see the uptick in cybersecurity and kind of our IT and our businesses, but I'm looking at hospitality and healthcare and wondering, how are you using AI to kind of inform what you're doing, your specializations? So the conversations are still ongoing, and it's a little bit too early for us to project what's going to increase.
Winners and losers.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments?
Yeah, I have a couple. So if saw the online, can somebody get their entire associate's degree online?
We do have some programs that are offered fully online.
That will do the whole thing. Yeah, I mean, driving from here to Culpeper is not bad. Going to Locust Grove is, that takes.
No, I have two administrators that are actually housed at Locust Grove,
Oh, yeah.
so they understand
It's
that.
a pretty drive.
It's a beautiful, and that's exactly what I said on the way here today. Again, and it was important for me to be here and make this drive because I wanted to kind of get a sense of the distance. As I was talking to Superintendent Graham, we were talking about that. What are some opportunities that we can have transportation? What are some opportunities that we could potentially think of where we can offer classes at the high school here, right? To make sure that our students have access, or our adult learners who want certificates because they want to get a promotion and make more money at their current job. So we're talking through that.
Okay. The business program you mentioned, if somebody chose just to go 2 years, what would they leave Germanna with on the business program?
So we have several business programs. I think my team can be more specific, but we have accounting. We have, how many other business, John?
Well, there's a couple ways to look at it. So we have business programs that are smaller credential, so it's something to get a certificate.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, thank you.
An accounting certificate.
to hone their skills in a particular area of business, be that accounting or whatever it might be. Then if you look at the degree program, there's a degree program that's intended to transfer to a 4-year, and then there's a degree program that's more intended to help folks sort of launch into business themselves for entrepreneurship and those kinds of things. So we've got it all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's all I have too, so. Thank you, Dr. Griffin.
Thank you for your time.
May I real quick,
Sure.
as
Of
a
course.
former
Sorry,
alumni,
Jonathan.
I don't want to hear complaints, because when I went to Jermaine, it was 2-lane road, so you have 4 lanes now. Thank you for it. The CTE really has my interest. I'm aware of at one time, like your Workforce Academy and kind of CTE things, you had like apprenticeship programs at your Daniel Technology Center. When you talk about a potential expansion of CTE for Madison County, does that look like offering more programs at, say, the Daniel Technology campus, or incorporating some of the space that we do CTE at the high school now?
We're exploring both.
Okay.
We're exploring both. As I mentioned, our Future Educators Academy that's currently offered in Culpeper at DTC, we want to expand that because we understand, again, a lot of our Madison County students love that program, and it really helps with the teacher shortage. So that teacher prep program we want to expand at the center. But again, in speaking with Superintendent Graham, there's definite opportunity for us to think about a CTE program specifically at the high school. So we are starting preliminary discussions on that. So we haven't mapped out, but there's an opportunity for both,
Okay.
on campus and off campus.
One addition to that, I definitely think some of the programs you have illustrated, electricity, welding, so forth, great programs, agriculture program. And I know some things change over years as far as where you're able to have localities, use facilities. Is automotive one you're looking to bring back? It was over at the Carver Center, and I don't know if that
Yes.
program's being resurrected or.
That's what Superintendent Graham actually mentioned that exact same thing to me. She asked. I'm going back to my team now to see whether or not that's something that we can kind of offer or propose how we're going to do that. But it was probably number 1 on her list in terms of what the students were saying they were really interested in learning more about. So yes, I'm taking that back to my team to see how we can kind of make something like that work for automated.
Fantastic. Thank you, Dr. Griffin.
Thank you.
I just have one question. I saw where you have partnering with several of the other universities. I'm wondering, what is your partnership like with Liberty University?
And that's a great question. I know we do have an articulation agreement with them, but they're not one of the universities that I have had a chance to work very closely with yet.
If I might, Dr. Griffin. Liberty is, if you saw the schools that were listed at the transfer, if we expanded one more, it would be Liberty, because those are our top 5 transfer institutions. Number 6 is Liberty. So we have articulation agreements and have had articulation agreements with Liberty for quite a while. It's very popular with our students because they have a really robust online presence. Students can take courses, and it's also a university where offers a lot of graduate programs for our employees. So we have a number of folks who are Liberty alums who are working in administration or teaching for us.
Perfect, thank you.
And it was, as I mentioned before, and John, thank you very much, the list is extensive.
Okay.
As I noted with Virginia Tech not on that list, that's another highly, enrolled transfer for our students, university. So Liberty's up there as well, so thank you.
So many great choices. Thank you for all you do.
All right, thank
Very
you.
good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Going through the. Okay. All right. Okay. So the next item on the agenda is the revenue projections. We have our treasurer and our commissioner of the revenue. They're going to make us really happy. I know. You, you got a mic too, Brian? Okay.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah,
It-
we
it's
hear you.
working. Okay. Before we get started on revenue, I know that you all have been interested in the interest that we're earning on different bank accounts. So I put together a little something for you for slides. So if you could pull up the one called bank interest. So actually, I know you hear a lot about the SNAP just because that's money that we borrow and we keep money in there. We keep that separate for that reason. But we also have money, next slide, in LGIP. And I went back to the beginning of the fiscal year to give you a breakdown by month of what the average monthly yield was each month.
What's
And
LGIP stand for?
Local Government Investment Pool.
With a
It's
particular
with,
bank?
it's with the state of Virginia. It's,
All
yes.
Thanks.
A lot of localities actually invest in this. It's very safe, and I'm not going to put it in anything that's not safe. And as you can see, we started out the year at 4.411, and by the end of January, it's dropped to 3.826, but that's still pretty good rates. So overall average over that period is an average of 4.18%. Next slide, VIP. VIP is the Virginia Investment Pool, another thing blessed by the state. So there again, we have a little over $1 million in this one. We started out, they're very close. 4.42% in July. It's dropped to 3.84, so average 4.19% so far this year. And next, I went ahead and did a SNAP interest just so, since we do talk about it a lot. This is the one from when we borrowed in 2020. So the average yield from beginning in July was 4.44%, and it's dropped to 3.88. So the average year to date is 4.22. And then the one that we just borrowed last year, SNAP 2025, of course, we didn't borrow until in September. So we have a shorter period here. So, but we did earn in September, it was 4.39, and it's now dropped in January to 3.88. I think in February it went to 3.83. I'm pretty sure, but I'm in the middle of balancing, so I didn't have time. So that'll give you an idea of where our money is, what interest rates we're getting. I will say we keep quite a bit of money in the Atlantic Union. Now, I have a sweep with that, a sweep account, and I have to keep a certain amount of money in to try to offset fees in one account, and that's $7.5 million. Okay. So we do earn some money. We do earn some interest. It's not as much. I'm sorry, I ran out of time. But that's around 2.02 is what we're getting on that. But as I say, to offset fees, it's 7.5 million. I have a meeting with them next Friday, and we're going to talk about some things and see if they can't sharpen their pencil a little more to make it better for us. There is also a new program, another kind of an investment pool. It's called Virginia Mint, And US Bank is the bank that we would be dealing with, but Atlantic Union is also involved in this. And the gentleman that worked for LGIP for over 15 years is heading up this program. I met him this week. They're paying about 15 basis points more than LGIP. So I'm going to move some of the money into that. But it's a new program. It's only been a little over a year, but it is some reputable treasurers that I have full confidence in are participating. And so we're going to move some of the monies that we have in, like, say, LGIP. And if I can free up some money with Atlantic Union, I'm going to move some of that as well into this. So that's where we're at. So I hope that, and if you ever have a question, please call me. I'll tell you what I know. And if I don't know the answer, if you have a question, I will find out and I'll get back to you. But I just wanted you to see where we are. Oh, well, that's a part of it. So, but we want you to feel well informed too. So, yeah. Okay, sure. Now we can go to revenue. Look, I'm going to be honest with you, as you know. I don't know where you're going to get everything that you need with revenue this year. We have looked at the trends, and we've made our recommendations accordingly. The top 10 revenue increases that we see for fiscal year 27, if we leave things as they are without a rate increase. Real property, we're expecting a $260,000 change without a rate increase, just because of new construction and things of that nature. Now, some of these are going to be grants, so this is not permanent funding. This is going to be funding that we may have this year, but may go away in fiscal year 28. So the VDIM emergency shelter upgrade, we're supposed to be getting $104,989, and as you can see, of course, that's grant funding, nothing for fiscal year 26. Personal property, there's really not much from what Brian's getting, and he can speak more to that. But with the vehicles that have come in, the new vehicles, whatever, or the amount of vehicles, there's just not much change. So we're projecting $100,000 more as it is right now. Local sales tax, I plugged in 1.930 million because normally we don't get until next week a projection from the state on this local sales tax. They usually will send out something, but it's usually the second week in March. But I'm going by the trend of what we've gotten so far this year, and it may be more, but I felt fairly confident that it would be the $75,000 more, a little over 75.8. Ambulance transports, there again, because of trends this year and the previous years, we're increasing that by 70,000 to 520. Erosion and sediment bonds, that is should double because they're talking about actually doing a change in pricing on that. So that should double. Restaurant food tax, people like to eat out, apparently. It looks like there's going to be $50,000 more projection for fiscal year '27. Forestry grant, there again, that's temporary. 1 year we get it, the next year we don't. But we're hoping, I think we're going to get it this year, we hope. Yeah, for '27.
Right, I think that one hit FY '27,
Yeah.
and then
We did not get it in '26.
it hit FY '27, but I'm not sure it'll be in this, it's a state-funded grant, and I don't think it's in the budget right now, but we'll see.
We didn't get it, yeah. So,
That money's not restricted in some fashion?
It is, it has to be earmarked for outdoor, there's about 5 categories: outdoor,
Yeah.
parks and playgrounds and things, or education. But yeah,
We
it
have
is.
certainly, we have enough places to spend
We
it,
can
that's for
spend it,
sure.
right, we do, yes.
right. The Department of Energy grant, I can't, honestly, I don't deal with grants that much. I just take in the revenue when they send it to us. But that apparently is going to be something new in '27, another 39,000. And recordation taxes,
I'm sorry, how do we get these grants? Do we have a grant writer, or is it?
well, I honestly think they do it by, I think, like the sheriff's office, Sarah McKnight usually writes hers. There's, who, I can't speak to who did that grant.
It's a variety of them. So like VDM, the number 2 emergency shelter grant, that came through EMS. So actually at the time, Mr. Helm is the one that applied for that. That project's been complete. We hope to get the reimbursement. We don't know if it's going to hit FY '20. We think maybe FY '27. You go down your list of forestry grant. I believe that now lands at the extension office with Greg Lillard.
No, that's through our office.
Oh, that's the other one, okay, because I know he has a grant there. And then the energy grant, that's the one that you all just recently approved as part of the Virginia Energy, the energy audit. We were awarded like 60-some thousand, but it's gonna be split between a couple fiscal years. So that's why you only see 39,296. So it's a variety. A lot of the times, it is the department. We don't have a specific grant writer. I know you all put that as a priority for FY '27. We will evaluate that. But quite often, it's those within a certain department that write these grants each year.
Okay.
The forestry grant is foregone revenue from, or a portion of the pool of what is funded statewide. I think last year was 4 million, and then that was our ratio of foregone revenue in forestry classification. Obviously, we have a large amount of Madison County that participates in the forestry land use program. And so, of course, that's divvied up between all the localities that participate in the state.
But you gotta be registered as in the forestry land use program
Correct. It's
to be on the list.
correct. You have to have the locality has to have the forestry program
Oh, okay.
in order
first and foremost,
to,
yeah.
to be able to, and then you submit the amount of foregone revenue, and then it's divvied up based on your ratio out of that pool. So, and there's some, they did it 2 years ago. It was only at $2 million. This past year was $4 million. I'm not sure there's funding out there or proposed funding at this point.
Stephanie, one thing I will mention to the board, Ms. Murray put up the erosion and settlement bonds on here. That is something we do end up, when we release those bonds, we pay them back.
Right.
So that's not, I mean, that's an in and an out.
That's more, yeah, more of a
Just-
wash.
Yeah, more of a wash.
So. And then recordation taxes, just by the way it's trending, we're looking for that to be $30,000 more. All right, the next slide. The decreases, well, we're starting off with a grant, which is, we're not budgeting for this grant, only $10,000, so it's a $349,000 reduction. Apparently, the 911 coordinator, Ashley Richards, is applying for the grant, but it's not guaranteed, so we're not counting it as revenue. Interest income's gonna go down. Well, you saw why. Interest rates are going down a little, and then we're closing out capital projects, which means then we'll have less money in SNAP, so that interest will definitely reduce. The SRO grant, one of those went away. We lost it, so that's a almost $71,000 change.
So we're left with 2 on that? We had 3, and then we only have 2.
It's probably most appropriate when the sheriff gets here to ask his office and they write up. We have a total of 4 SROs. Most of the time, when those grants are awarded, they're like a 3-year grant and they're scaled, so it'll be a certain percentage they pick up, and then they reduce it, and then after that final year, if you want to keep it, the county fully funds it. So it may be an appropriate question, Mr. Chairman, once the sheriff gets here today.
Yeah, he had told me 2 earlier, but yeah, we'll check with them again.
Check with him, yeah. Well, the cigarette tax, that's been trending down for the last couple years. And honestly, I don't know that we'll make the 175 for fiscal year '26 that we lowered it by 25,000 to 150,000. The bank franchise tax, that had trended down a little as well. And that's on the deposits that are in our local banks that we receive. So apparently that's been a little less. There's another grant, and Chief Hellstrom's here, but this grant went away, the HRSA Scopes grant, 9,000, so it's no longer available. And machinery and tools, it's just because it has trended down $5,000, so we reduced that. And
That's due to depreciation and then other new stuff not getting reported or not, whatever.
Right, I hope it's not getting.
Right.
Or I hope it's not because of not getting reporting, but just generally, we only have so many manufacturers in the county. And again, it's based on the depreciation of their current assets and then replacement.
Brian, if I may ask, 'cause I know I gotta be specific, so I don't know if I can ask by company name. If I do, don't answer it or whatever, but we had the downturn effect of a lumber yard, Rock Hill, and then the sad announcement of Plow and Hearth. Have we already seen that drop off in machine and tools, or will that hit, is that this year where that decrease is shown?
We've seen some of it. I'm not sure we've seen the full extent of some of the businesses that have closed up.
Okay, and then one other question, I think it's on the consumer and public utility tax. The new fiber being strung up and inserted, has that been factored in? I didn't know if it was a nice windfall on that.
We did see an uptick this past year, and we should see a little bit more.
Okay, all right, thank you.
So Brian or Steph, I was looking at the building permits. Do you talk to Jamie about that? Because, I mean, look at this, back in FY '24, we're at 163,000, then it went down to 84,000 for FY '25, and now it's down to 75,500.
I can talk to that.
Oh, you can? Okay.
They originally, I think, Miss Mary, you might remember, we pulled it all into one, and then we separated out the permits by category, so they're split amongst various categories instead of one now, if my memory serves me correctly.
right, it is.
So,
You have it broken down more now between building, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, fuel, gas. So all of that's broken down in more detail now.
And they're all different line items? in
They're
this
all different line
revenue
items when you
budget
look
somewhere?
down, yes. You'll see it mechanical. That actually is, we were in January at 11,000 442. And so on that, so if you add them all up, your building, and add up the major trades, you will get what the totals are that we're actually taking in for that department. Plan review fees, all that. Okay?
And then stuff like, well, we need to get stuff from the comp board, because, I mean, we got
Right.
shared registrar and electoral board goes down. That's,
Well,
There's others
and
that
honestly, for the
didn't go there.
electoral board, I don't know, but
Yeah.
until we get the comp board numbers, we just plugged in what we had, for now.
Okay, what else from the board? Okay, let's see here.
So the next slide that we have, after you see where we are at this point, balancing the budget, additional revenue paths explained. A 1% increase in real estate tax equals about $275,000 in additional revenue. 1 cent. A 10-cent increase in personal property tax rate equals around $175K in additional revenue. Then Davenport, when they were here last year, they had a couple ideas that they brought forward. If we increased our meals tax by 1%, that could produce approximately $140,000 in additional recurring revenue income. And lodging tax, if we increase that 1%, that could produce approximately $50,000 in additional recurring revenue. So those are a couple options.
Is it 1% or 1 cent?
1%.
1%.
Because right now you're at 4% on meals and 5% on lodging.
Right.
State caps meals tax at 6%. So you could only go up 2% there.
Right.
I don't believe there's a cap on that. I did, I looked at some surrounding counties just to compare. Green's at 8%, Page County 5%, Orange 2%, Rappahannock 4%, Culpeper 2%. So we're kind of in the middle there. I did not grab their meals tax numbers, but.
So I hope that gives you an overview, and for the new members, I hope that it was easy to understand, and if you have any questions, just let us know.
Mr. Chairman, if I may point out, I had this light bulb moment with Stephanie earlier this week, because I know some of our joint meetings with the schools, the voter referendum has come up about if the General Assembly passes, and the board so chooses to go to a voter referendum on an additional, the 1% local sales tax. So you see the local sales tax number in your budget right now. So just look at that number. If that does get signed into law, you do put it on the referendum, and if the voters did pass, that is the amount that would be available as an estimate for school construction purposes only. So as you may recall, that bill is for additional 1% for school construction only, so it cannot be used for anything else. So as you're looking through your packet, that's the number.
And I actually reached out to Charlotte County last week just to verify. They have like 11,000, maybe 11,500 citizens. And I was thinking, well, that's closer to Madison County as far as getting an idea. And she says that right now for local sales tax every month, they have somewhere between 75,000 and 100,000 coming in per month. So
What's the difference between the lodging tax and the tot tax?
It's the same.
Okay, I figured it was. It was just listed differently. Okay.
Right. It's, TOT stands for transient
Yeah.
occupancy tax.
There is a split though, Mr. Snyder, and I should have been prepared in my mind. I was telling Jennifer, I always get it confused. Of the 5%, 2% goes to either TOT or locality, and the other 3% goes the other way, so. that's how
That goes
5%
to
is different.
tourism, the three.
The 3, and then 2% goes to the county, general fund, or wherever you wish to assign it to. Yes, sir.
So I was just looking at some where we've budgeted no change at all, which, you know, you, over the years, y'all have been conservative on this, which is, yeah, admirable. Like real property delinquent.
Well,
So
it's,
when you didn't budget any change from the FY '26 revised budget, would you look at what's coming up and you kind of annualized it and said, we might not get there this year, that type thing?
right.
Had-
That and when we switched to Revenue One of Entity, in the old system, real property delinquent was right after, everything would hit that right after the due date passed. The way it is now with Avinity, whatever we were collecting and that was due December 5th is still hitting that real property account code until the end of June. Then, when the new fiscal year rolls in July 1, then it starts hitting the delinquent line item.
Then December and June would hit delinquent.
Right.
Huh.
Yeah, I know. But that is the
Okay.
way it was set up, and so because of that, then our delinquency revenue has been a little less. So that's why that's trended down. Plus, there are delinquent accounts, but we've been trying to work on those, and we actually have a real estate auction coming up the 24th of March, so on some delinquent properties where the owners didn't pay after repeated.
Where did I see this? I know I saw it somewhere in this list. I can't find it at the moment. I want to follow you. Didn't I see delinquent taxes in this somewhere?
It's on the board there, but it should be in your packet.
I'm not seeing it at the moment.
I think page 225 in the packet, I think, if you scroll down.
225.
And if you look at the actuals, Cardi, and over the last few years, you'll see that the real property delinquent has trended down, so that's why we went.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just looking at all the ones where had zero change that had significant numbers, you know, 150,000 and up. So you got PPTRA, no change.
That never changes.
Okay.
That's been the same amount for the last almost 19 years.
Oh, yeah.
And
Since they
probably
got
before
implemented.
I actually came on board. When the state decided to give whatever piece of the pie to localities for the personal property tax relief,
Yeah.
it has stayed the same.
Okay.
So,
Transfers from TOT. Well, just court fines and forfeitures, motor vehicle licenses stayed the same. So
well, I mean, there's just,
No way
there
to know.
again, you look at the trends, and we don't want to increase it when the last two fiscal years we received $467,000 and $465,000. We're keeping it at $475 because it's just not trending up.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I'm not question y'all's analysis of.
Oh,
this.
I
It's just when
understand.
I
Well,
put
you're
these
just trying to
filters on
figure it.
my- Yeah.
I understand.
And some of the things too, you think of, taxes when they're doing valuations more of like real estate, because we do have the mass appraisal every 6 years, but then there's this annual for new construction. However, we may forget, and I think of on the personal property side, like a couple of years ago, when you adjusted your personal property tax rate, valuations of vehicles were absurd. Still are a little bit, quite frankly, because I want to use pickup truck, but anyway, it's another matter. But that valuation of those vehicles too, I don't know if we've seen drastic drop-offs, Brian, as we had maybe 3 years ago, but that could affect too, based on your tax rate, if you have, major swings on vehicle valuations. Did I misspeak any of that?
No, I mean, I think we have seen depreciation of vehicles normalize
Yeah.
to what we were used to prior to that year or two where, they just flip-flop there. It's the values of vehicles continue to grow, so that helps. And with the PPTR, it caps it at 20,000 is the most that you can get relief on that first $20,000 worth of vehicle. So it does help there, and I think we're capturing, and we're doing it in a conservative nature. We're capturing that at that 100,000 growth, and we could, if we're really looking to dig around, maybe we can take a better look at that and adjust it a little more aggressively. But again, we typically try to stay somewhat conservative.
Sure. And whether it would be significant is correct. I'm not looking to add $5,000 to a line item here.
Right.
Right. No, and Cardi, it was good questions.
Okay.
You and your spreadsheets and filters, right?
That's me, yeah.
That's right.
Jim, you got something down there?
Well, your restaurant food tax at 800,000, explain that to me again.
So that
Where
would
does
be
that come from?
meals tax?
Meals tax.
Meals tax.
When you go
Food.
out to eat, it's somewhere in Madison County.
Uh-huh.
Not only are you paying state tax, but you're paying also a 4% tax on your meal.
Okay.
And we get that,
And that would exclude the town as they
Right.
have their own meals tax.
right?
I didn't know we had that many restaurants here.
Well, food trucks and,
Wineries.
right,
So, right, it is, alcoholic beverages are subject to the meals tax.
Okay.
so.
I need to drink more.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right.
wow.
All right. What else? Nancy, you got something? Judd, anybody? All right.
Well,
Thank
thank you, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Well, thank you. He's easy to work with, too. It's great when you have a good team that you can work well with, and we appreciate it. And if you have any questions, please.
Yeah,
Reach out.
The one thing that bothers me about looking at revenue is there's so many line items in there that I can't annualize and get and get a decent number from,
Right. Well, we know how you feel.
Yeah, I know. Okay.
Definitely so.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Steph. All righty, so next up, we have Facilities and Maintenance and Transfer Station, I think, right? You sleeping on me, Mooney?
You can have this one.
Let's see, what's his department code? You got that?
First of all, good afternoon.
Do we want to go with the transfer station first, or do we want to go with the facilities?
Bad news first. Bad news first.
Bad news first.
Whichever way you-
What number is that one?
Want to flip a coin then?
They're all 2430.
So
All right, got it.
we're actually showing that we're gonna be going down this year in the facilities. The reason why is because we're moving a couple things out of our line items in our budget to other departments and letting them handle some of the other items. First of all, we wanted to see if we can seek out for some help, some part-time help. Seasonal, I say seasonal, but with the snowstorm like we just had, I don't know if seasonal is even the right term for it. We're trying to get somebody or get some kids some chance to give to the youth a little bit to help out with the mowing and weed eating and stuff like that of that nature, to take some of the load off of me and Kurt, because we're out there working overtime, and it will help with all the holidays and putting stuff up too. Parks and Rec helps us with that stuff, the school helps us, so we have a good working relationship right now, but we can use some part-time help. We're asking for, what, $7,200 for that, and I think I put down like 480 hours. I did the math by just adding my main summertime to basically when school is out to when school comes back in. Certain amount of time a week, that's how I got my hours for that. I just think it would be a great investment for us. We wouldn't have to do any benefits, just the time for them, pay for the time. So,
That's mainly just to mow, weed
yes,
eat,
to mow and weed eat.
all that.
Yeah, I'm getting older, can't walk around like I used to. It's getting a little rougher. Steps getting shorter.
High school kids or what?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind just having a high school kid, or maybe somebody that's retired that may know a little bit more about mowing and weed eating. So, I
think the goal is, if I may jump in too, because I've talked to many about this one is too, when you see the title managers, there's only a few of those within the county. It's generally those are working managers, not necessarily, they're still department heads, is to get him out of the seat of the mower so he can do some more things in contracts or some other projects. When he's on the mower, his skill sets, it's not that it's beneath him, but he does electrical work, a lot of stuff. He and Kurt has some plumbing experience, so if I can get these guys out of the mower seat for at least a little bit of time, hopefully it'll help on our contractor labor or overtime.
And,
Sorry, I just want to put that in there.
and also previous years, we also, the one before me, he used the Workforce Alliance crew. The workforce just started back up, so we can start using them again, but I haven't had them in 4 years.
Is that from the regional jail?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes. And now they have certain stipulations what they can and can't do. Can't climb ladders, can't pick up trash, because you can't degrade a person. So it really puts some stipulations on things. The next line item I'm gonna touch on is our outside services. The outside services is going up. I would like for it to go up just because we have a lot of stuff that's failing now. It's not all about repairing everything, it's replacing stuff, and it takes contractors to come in here and do some of these, the big jobs. Just like most recently, the generator, it just failed on us. It was working fine when we closed and sealed the deal, but shortly after that, that sealed the deal. So you just never know when you're dealing with stuff with some age to it, when it's gonna break down and it's gonna cost you more to keep fixing something than replacing. The next one that would be trending up would be our maintenance and repair of buildings. That would be, what, 33% roughly going up. That's another one that we have three main categories that we deal with stuff: repairs and maintenance contracts, repair and maintenance buildings, and outside services. Those are my main three categories that I pull from to get people to come in here and to do things. Let's see here. Our alarm systems are gonna be going up. We added the rescue squad to the program. That's a new building. So I think we have a total of now 4 or 5, roughly, 5. Thank you, Ms. Warren, that we are monitoring. And the reason why they need to be monitoring is because a lot of them don't have sprinkler systems in it. So we need to monitor those buildings. We need to make sure that they're safe, not only for the public, but for our employees, the ones that we really cherish and we need on our team. My next one would be the office supplies. So our office supplies are gonna be going up just a tad bit because we have it with bottled water that we're supplying the buildings with. And I'm assuming that just keeps going up. So if you guys have a different idea of how we can handle that, I'm all ears. We have water fountains in some of these buildings, so, I mean, we can easily remove some of these. We have water fountains with water purifiers and all that, filters. So that might be a suggestion to get that to come down or take it out of some of the buildings. And then we're gonna have repairs and maintenance supplies. That's just stuff that we use a lot around the county to try to beautify the county. The flowers, the flower pots that we start adding and stuff, all that stuff costs money. That money's have to come from somewhere. But to continue this, we're gonna have to add to that line item. And I believe that's it far as my bad news of going up. Ms. Warren, you have anything to add? I know I probably missed something.
No, as far as your budget, although it shows, as Mooney mentioned, a decrease of 5.3%, if you factor back in what we moved out of this budget into IT and radio, he would actually have had an increase of about 48,000. And that really is those items that Mooney mentioned: outside services, repairs and maintenance building, and repairs and maintenance contracts, those three being the largest at 28,000 of that 48,000.
And I would just add to that, we went back and looked at vendor history. So, and even when I was working on facility CIP, building that, there's a lot of notes in there: remove, handling facilities budget, remove this item, handling facilities budget. Or if we have things, like I'll give 2 examples. The fencing at the arcade and some of that tree work we did, not planned, needed to be done, took it out of here. I think I talked to the commander of the Legion. You know, we were looking at, maybe painting the flagpole and did some pressure washing of the memorials and statues. That way when those grounds are used for services, they're more presentable. So some of those things will not show up in your CIP, but we're handling them through operation. Just looking at some historicals or some of these additional work outside of your normal contracts that we pay Riddleberger or Clark Security, you see in here. Just wanted to give additional funds to capture that based on historicals.
All right. Any questions on facilities before we go to the transfer station? All right.
All right, the transfer station. So on the transfer station, we really don't have a lot that's changing besides the fees of the monitoring system It's gonna be going up, I believe that's just 25%. Then we're gonna have, our transportation, our contract that we have basically with, Updike is going up. I don't think they gave us those hard numbers yet. We're, still waiting for email, back from, the vendor. So, I actually talked to him last week, and I think Mr. Weekly talked to him just recently, and he might have some more insight on that.
That part, thank you, Mr. Frazier. So basically, your main expenditures broken down through, via our contract. You have your labor that you cover, and there's a CPI for that built into the contract. I don't know if that's 2 or 3% annually. You have recycles in there, so we have a recycle rate per tonnage. You have fuel, which is your transportation. When you see it on your list of your transportation contract, I believe we're combining there both the transportation and the disposal. So you got fuel that's in that. There's this weird calculation they do. It's basically 25-cent intervals either way. They're supposed to reduce. Just want to make sure I didn't add anything to our capital plan.
Thank you.
But there's the disposal rate, and because they haul, it's not hauled to, they don't have a landfill. They use primary 2 landfills, one in Amelia County and one in King George County. I said, are there others? They said, yes, but they're further away. So you kind of negate with your transportation costs there. So talked with Mr. Thornhill today. He's still waiting for those numbers. I said, I'd like to have them. I realize private companies may not work off fiscal years. We do. Several years ago, it seems like those would drop in April or August. Well, those are bad times when we're trying to do the budget. So Jennifer's done a real good job of going back and looking at those invoices. So we hope we built in enough cushion. But as you can see, that's a pretty sizable increase. What you done last year, and I think it was the right step, commercial haulers may not agree with that, is one of your admin fees you increased was for commercial haulers, or, I think we went up to $70 per ton or something around there, which matches Green and some of our surrounding counties. So that helped with some of the cushion, but I don't know if you'll ever be a break even there. Certainly, your transportation is not a for-profit operation, but you will see some additional admin fees we're going to recommend adjusting. Sticking with the transfer station, one of those will probably be tires. I think we currently charge $3 per tire. I just had to put tires on my daughter's Jeep. It costs more than $3 a tire. I think it's like $7 or $8 per tire. So we definitely don't want to lose money because that's subsidized by all the taxpayers. But I'm giving you some of the rationale on the fees. So that probably won't offset that $145,000 increase, but there will be some reprieve by adjusting some of those fees.
Yes.
If you so choose to do so.
Yes, like
Tires
refrigerators
end up
and
in
stuff
the
as
ditch.
well.
What's that?
The tires end up in the ditch if that gets too high.
They do. Well, correct, but I think if you stay within, this is just my opinion, within what you would pay a shop, I mean, the stockpilers, you're not going to solve that. I mean, they're just going to stockpile and do what they're going to do. But
So I done
$3, no matter what size tire, whether it's a tractor or a passenger, we just can't keep eating that cost. Right.
Yeah, so I've done some research on the local landfill transfer stations. We are the cheapest for tires. They charge by the size of the tire, most of them. And I do have a fee schedule that I'm gonna present to you guys later on that try to increase that, not to make money off of the citizen, but to at least break even. Another one was refrigerators. It takes the same amount of monies to take out the Freon for a small refrigerator as we do a big refrigerator. So we have a lower fee for the smaller ones. So I think we just need to tweak some of this stuff so we're not eating all the costs.
What is our cost on, on the tires?
It's $3.
No, not what we charge, but what is it? Is that our break even? I know we charge $3 a tire, but what do we, when we haul them off, what are we getting charged?
I do not know that answer. I can find that out. I don't know that answer, but I will find out for you. Yeah,
I mean, that would let you know whether or not we're breaking even or not. I mean,
Correct.
whether or not we need to go up or down.
I believe
I know we don't
Culpeper
need to go down,
charges
but-
almost $20 for a tractor tire. And we're charging $3 for a tractor tire. So, that's just,
So the transportation contract line item, how long are those numbers good for? Is that annually they
So it's based on two things. Again, fuel is part of that component, so it's based on 25-cent changes in fuel. And then you have the disposal. So really, they're at the mercy of, I don't mean to throw a company name out. There are others, I'm sure, that own landfills, but Waste Management is one of them. But, you know, some of these these landfills, excuse me, you know, as they near capacity, you know, a lot of times rate goes up, or there'll be change in laws or requirements. Something we started being charged for of additional rates, I think a couple of years ago, was mattresses. I mean, who would have thought? But, you know, so it bases on if any legislation changes, or basically you're at the mercy of the disposal site. So they're in the handling and transportation of it, but really we're at the mercy of the disposal site as well.
Is the transportation contract, does that also include, I can't remember her name, the people that work the people that work there?
she works for the company, yes.
So that's included in that price? Her in the, everything that they do there?
Yes.
Yes, sir. There's two laborers. So you have the scale house tenant up front,
Right.
and then you have the, I guess you can,
Machine
backhoe
operator.
operator, machine
Uh-huh.
operator in the back.
Is there any revenue at all? I mean, when we do, do we see that somewhere? Because I don't see it here.
If you look at the revenue projections, there is a line item for waste disposal. I'll give you that number in just a second,
Okay.
because we do have that.
I'm just wondering, we're at least breaking even then.
Is it waste collection disposal received?
Is it in this particular screens that we're looking at here? Because I haven't seen it.
Yeah, let me
No,
get
the
to the
revenue
budget.
wouldn't be on there.
The revenue side, I'm
He's just
pulling up
showing us
now.
expenses.
Yeah, it looks like it's below shelter adoptions, waste collection fee, or disposals received.
There it is. Yep. We collect roughly $285,000 a year when we do monthly billing to anyone using the facility, or excuse me, we have monthly bills that go out, and it generates about $285,000. So no, we don't break even by any means, but we are collecting about $285,000.
So it's costing us 950 and we're making 280?
We do not charge for residential bag trash. It's when you go in with specific items, like larger furniture, refrigerators, as Mr. Frazier said. Those other items is what you pay as a homeowner. You know, commercial haulers, they come in, you know, you go across the scale, that's, I think, $70 per ton. I think it was a $5 increase per ton versus last year's, or the year prior's rate. So, yeah, I think the big thing, Mr. Snyder, is that, you know, even if you're not charging residential bag trash, and I'm not advocating for that, but you are paying that disposal cost. So you're not only disposing of what the commercial haulers bring you, you're disposing of residential. So one, you're bringing in some revenue from, that's a commercial hauler. The other side, you are not. But technically, people say, well, I pay my taxes, so that's a service. So, but that I think is the major difference in that collection versus expenditures.
And not only that, you have people that's utilizing the share shed with large items, that's putting large items in there that's broken and stuff, so they're not getting charged for those items. They put it in there, and guess what? We have to throw them away because it's no good.
So that line item is to be tweaked here shortly.
I would agree. Mooney and I can meet on maybe doing a revision on what we think we could bring in additional revenues based on increased fees that we might want to see. So,
Yes, ma'am.
I think Reese does a good job trying to catch people coming in with tires and mattresses, but it's a hard job.
I know, I get about 5 calls a week.
She gets yelled at.
Even on Wednesdays when they close. Yes.
So yeah, I think she does a pretty good job, but I wouldn't want that job.
Yes, she's a tough one.
Anything further? All right.
Just real quick, thank you for all you do.
Yeah,
I
thank
mean,
you, Melanie.
I noticed, like, when you were clearing sidewalks and doing all that work, I'd go into Arlington and, once a week, and they were so far behind us. And they have better equipment, I'm sure, and more people, and you guys really had it cleaned up, and so you could walk down the sidewalks, and it's a great job.
Well, it was greatly appreciated. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, John.
Thank y'all.
Do send an invoice to the town on that.
We don't do the town, Carlisle does the town sidewalks. But I will say, we did sidewalks, town of Orange did not, so.
Yeah, okay, thanks, Mooney. Mooney, when you go outside, tell the sheriff that you're done. If you would. It's Mooney holding things up, Sheriff. Let's see, you wanna? Well, sit down here and, yeah, we'll get you a mic. Hi. What's up, Joy? All right, let's see. All right, department code. Let me switch gears here.
Before we get started, we had a conversation before we came down here today, and we kind of figured it out. You're 5 intelligent people, and I'm sure you've had time to look at our budget, so you have any questions, we'd be more than happy to answer them for you.
All right. So who wants to start?
Well, okay then, anything else?
Okay.
All right, I got it.
I'll throw one out there. So why do transports take 2 deputies? That's just, I got a whole list of questions.
Anything out of the county, if in case we have to stop and let the prison use the restroom somewhere, you have to have 2 people, especially if it's a female. That's the reason why. You don't want to travel all the way to here in Gaylats just with 1 deputy to do a transport. Always take 2, anywhere if it's out of the county. And if it's local, like going to CBRJ, we just use 1. Yeah.
So earlier today, we heard from the treasurer that we lost one of the grants for the SROs. So are we left with 2 grants? I think you told me the other day, we had 2 grants still in place. She said we lost 1. Now, I didn't know what does that mean? Do you know?
Oh, probably the loss of one, it was a 5-year grant, it was a 4-year grant, and then
Okay.
an additional year, it was 5 years. That's why the grant went away.
So we've still got 2.
We still have 2, that's
still.
correct.
Okay, like you said.
Yeah.
I wanted to just make sure. All right, yeah, okay, I see that you're asking for basically converting a part-time employee to full-time for court security, right?
Yes.
And, yeah, I think from reading your application that seems to be warranted in my opinion. I don't know what everybody else thinks about that, but, I mean, it did cut down on some overtime and Clarissa sent us a letter.
You've got the 3 part-times now, and you want to take the 1 part-time, take him full-time, and then I'll leave you with 2 part-time.
That's correct. Then we'll cut back the hours on the second part-time person.
Well, I guess I didn't finish the rest of my grant stuff. Last year, we had a report, I guess Sarah reported on a bunch of grants that, I mean, it was probably 3, 4 of them that were in the works. What do we got in the works now? Is there anything that's been submitted that we might see?
Yeah, right now,
FY
25, 26, grant applications, it's $874,000 that we applied for so far.
Yeah, and what's that for?
LOA, evidence block grant, primary school, the 2 SROs positions, middle school, burn grant for the live scan, and a federal mobile command post. We just got that for the final.
So that's part of that 800, so we got
Yes.
500 of
Yeah.
it in the in-house.
And current grants that we have is 98,000 some change, current grants.
What, huh?
They're ongoing now, yes. They're the primary school and a drone replacement.
How often do we use our drones?
We use a lot in spring, summertime, these special events. It's always up to look, eyes in the sky to see what's occurring, like the fair, tractor pull, street festival. Especially if you have a child goes missing, you can zoom right in, child, color, clothing, and that's a big plus for us. Search and rescue, if it's a fire, anything going on outside that we have eyes in the air is a great access to us.
How are we looking as far as, I know we've lost some deputies, and pay structure is one of those reasons. What are we looking as our starting deputy pay compared to green, orange, Culpeper? What are we looking at?
So green is sitting at about 58, 59 for starting, and Culpeper is sitting at 60 for starting. Our starting pay is not what kills us, it's retention pay that's killing us.
4 years down the line, 5 years down the line?
Yeah. Then go somewhere else and make 15, 20,000 more.
Okay. So our starting pay is comparable,
Somewhat, yeah, but still a couple grand less.
but not enough to make someone not come here or leave.
Correct. And then it's the retention pay is what's behind it.
Yeah, Mike, you said you had some others?
Yeah, so and I'm gonna ask the chief same question. So, when y'all were out at these, when you got in here, reasons for overtime, and you've got a list of 10 different things here when y'all are out doing other things, and y'all get a call, do y'all leave where you're at and go, say you're at the fair, for example, and you get a call, you got, what, 5 people at the fair, and you get a call, do you take people from that, or do you?
Depends on what type of call it is. If it's something small, we still have people working the road, patrol, but if it's a major event, yes, we'll have to leave the fair and go to that type of event, yes.
Okay.
So instead of having 5 people at the fair, it may end up being 1 person at the fair.
Uh-huh.
Just depends. If
I
it's
didn't know if you had brought in extra people just for that event.
Yeah,
Were you
we
using
do.
your same manpower?
We do, yes.
Okay.
All these events you see are, it's overtime category to bring extra people in.
I figured that.
Yeah.
That's your $167,000 in overtime, is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And your, I'll continue. Your SROs, the 4 that you have, when you're out of school, what are the SROs doing?
Patrol, transports for the jail, and basically a lot of their training, which goes on, is done during the summertime. SRO training, they have, 2 weeks during the summer. That's what they're doing. They save up in the summertime. Plus, these are special events that help with court. It's always something going on at the school, even in the summertime.
Uh-huh, okay.
Yeah, Sheriff, question I had too about the SROs, we're losing the $70,000 grant. So that offset that's included in your funding your salary request, am I correct? Or-
Yes.
Okay. Because we don't want to lose any of those.
No, we gotta have
That's
those.
a priority.
Cool.
We all know
But the
that.
bad thing about it now, being shorthanded in court, I'm pulling people from the SROs to help with court and do transports. So that leaves a vacancy in the school system.
You always have 2 in the school at a time, or is it?
One in each school,
So then one would leave and leave the school.
and it's no,
Awesome.
yes. The 2 grants positions stay in the school system. So we would have to pull someone from the high school and someone from down at the middle school. So they're not grant positions, so they will be doing transport to help out in court.
How long is it gonna take, excuse me, to get this command center in, mobile command center?
That's above my pay grade question there, I'm not really sure.
Well, we got the big ceremonial check, but that's not the real money, so I think we're waiting on the real money to come in.
Okay,
And that, Fed money comes in October 1.
but then you gotta order it, so.
That'll be
a year-
at least a year out, yes.
Year out from now.
Same thing like you buying a fire truck, same
Oh,
thing,
that's longer,
yeah,
that's like 5 years.
yeah.
Mike, you done with your list?
No.
Okay, carry on, man.
Yeah, your list of vehicles that you got, I think 7 vehicles,
Yes.
all in one year? Or that's just migrating through several years? I see you replacing different years, like from 21 to 23. Older
Usually, our
vehicles.
mileage, it depends on how much miles on the car.
Uh-huh.
We usually get 120 or above, we try to get rid of these
That's what the
vehicles.
number I was looking for,
Yeah,
120.
mileage. Because, once you get
Because you
down-
got all that idling time that
Yeah.
we were talking about.
Transmissions, engines start, the price, as you know now, and our biggest thing, deer accidents here, that starts adding up in the thousands of dollars. But usually we try to do 120. Our guys put between 35 and 45,000 miles a year on a car, so. By the time we order a car in July, like I was telling the chairman, we've got cars now, we haven't even put them on the road yet. We're still waiting to do the stripe and other stuff on the car. That's what, 8 months to get a car?
Yeah, Sheriff, I was looking at the list. And
Yeah.
we did 4 last year, and would 4 suffice this year?
I'm sure we can talk about that, yes.
Okay. All right, because I looked at you did label the 7.
Yeah.
But I think 4 of them were the ones that had the mileage up in the range that you were talking about.
That's
So,
correct.
All right, okay. All right, Mike, go ahead.
I'm done.
Oh, okay. All right, well, I was looking at the capital budget, and in here, just explain to the rest of them, I've asked you about a lot of this stuff, but the new equipment for the magistrate system, the Axon equipment, that's $67,000. That is an annual thing, and what is that used for, Sheriff?
Sure. So the magistrate system is how we talk to the magistrate. The magistrate sits at the jail, where they used to sit at the sheriff's office.
Mhm.
They sit at the jail, so it's all telecommunication with the magistrate. That's been past due about 5 years. So once that breaks, there is no more magistrate system, so we gotta pay to upgrade that. The Axon part of it, if the 2 grants, we paid for 1 grant, and we have 1 drone out of grant and 1 drone out of capital from last year.
Mm-hmm.
Problem is that comes with software that goes with the contract, so that's why that you see the additional 67 for the contract part of it.
So that is really not capital?
No.
Oh.
67 is different.
67 is the second or third year of our contract that we signed 3 years ago. We pay part of it in operational, and then all the equipment part comes out of capital.
And this is the equipment part here? Okay, so it's,
3, Jennifer?
well, then, what's the likelihood we're gonna find that somewhere in our capital from prior years?
Or the equipment?
Yeah.
Is this being proposed, I guess, as a new request?
It's an existing contract we have. So it was an obligation that we had signed a couple years ago, and it was just payments over 5 years on the body cam equipment. Instead of paying it all in one lump sum, they allow you to pay installments over 5 years. So this is year 3, I believe.
Don't we have about 80,000 in operational?
I believe so. I can look that up.
And then, well, I said, Troy, do you know, they got Tech 5 live scam equipment, 17,000. That's new?
Yeah, so.
That's new stuff?
Our live scan machine, is through a company called ID Networks.
Mm-hmm.
VSB controls all of that. That's how we take fingerprints for civil and criminal. VSB went with a new contract company called Tech 5. They're getting rid of the ID Networks. So every agency has to buy new equipment and new software.
Nice.
So that's where that's coming from. We did apply for a grant last week, through the Burn Grant for 16,000 of that. If we get it, it's a 25% match with that grant, when we did apply for it last week.
So that equipment, is that gonna be an annual something or other coming along?
So in the operational budget, it's 8,200 and some change.
Uh-huh.
That's added in our, is it repairs and maintenance line, Jennifer? Is that where we put that in? I think so. Yeah, repairs and maintenance,
Yeah, live scan
8225.
So,
And we won't pay that until it's up and running.
So this is equipment, you go out, you make an arrest, you bring them back into the sheriff's office and fingerprint them and all that.
When I'm booking, all that kind of stuff. We also do
That
civil,
goes to state police.
we also do civil stuff for county employees that get hired, school employees that get
Ah.
hired, that are all fingerprinted through that system.
Can Skyline Cap send somebody down there and get,
If you set up an account with VSB, I think Skyline, you go through federal, right?
no, we go through VSP. Did they? Well, just take a look at you.
Yeah.
I would too.
How long ago was that?
That's been, I don't know, probably 8 years.
Hey.
But
Change.
there's a Head Start component to that.
Yeah, right. Okay, let's see. What else from the board while I'm looking through my stuff?
Well, I have a question because, and maybe I misunderstood you, but you were saying when you have to transport prisoner or, that you move the security from the school system, whoever is the security officer at that time to
Yes,
do
ma'am.
that?
Yes, ma'am. If we're shorthanded, they come out of the school to do the transport.
Okay,
Especially- yes.
and I hear that, but I'm like, I'm kind of stuck on that because that concerns me for the children, for the security, but you do have other security there other than, maybe? No. Okay,
No, that's all we have.
right.
Yeah, transport is a problem.
Transport, yeah,
I was telling you, 45 and 46 out of the area transports last year, the furthest one, 12 hours to gate lights and back, and you turn around 2 days later, you gotta take them back and come back. That's a long, long trip. That's where a lot of our TDOs go
And-
that way.
That's why we
not
need a
over.
regional
Yeah.
facility,
Yeah.
so that you're not transporting that far.
Yeah.
We did a middle transport, back in the fall, and it was like 68 man hours, and 48 of that were overtime hours.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's a lot of man hours and it's a lot of money. We did transportation in Beach Street, so.
All right,
That's
so,
a big concern of us, is doing, if we have to, if everyone, all the 2 guys that work in the road, we have to pull from somewhere else to do the transport, not, there's nobody gonna be working.
I just would like to see those schools covered at all times.
mhm.
I mean,
Oh, sure.
that's stuff we can't mess with.
Well, up to.
I understand that, you know what you're saying, but I also know where the school is so important, or the children are. And, we live in a county where we don't think we have to worry about anything. We don't have anything until we do, Nothing happens until it happens, yeah.
Yeah, what was it, Jim? It was, up to 3 years ago, we had 2 that rotated, that went from school to school. Was that as
Well,
recently as
and I-
3 years ago?
yeah.
And then we decided all schools
Lucky enough to
needed
get a
them.
grant.
Yeah, right, yeah.
It's
Well,
a
you-
priority, they're doing the best they can. with
Oh,
what
I
they
know,
have.
I'm just saying,
That's,
You guys-
those transports, that's ridiculous.
that
I mean, it's
is.
not their fault, but it's just ridiculous.
I don't know
How about
else to do
the
it.
speed cameras that are coming in? What's the time frame on those now? The school,
Probably, May, June,
May, June,
but a revenue back for the county would be approximately 3 years out.
3 years out.
Which cameras are these?
Gotta
Which-
pay for the,
We have to pay, we have to pay for them first before any
Right.
funding comes back to the county. That's about 3 years.
You know the one.
okay?
Yeah, may I?
Yes.
Question I have, do we have any, one of our recent officers, did we lose a K-9 officer? Was that one of the recent? Will we have, because I don't know the rules on that, because usually the person trains with the animal, so does that animal go? Do we need to
We,
recoup another dog?
His last day was Sunday. So we lost our K-9 person and our full-time person on the task force, drug task force. So looking ahead for training, it could take up to a year to get another person trained.
What about the dog as well? Is that factored in anywhere here in your budget of replacing?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can retrain to the
Yeah,
handler.
that's why I
Okay.
said it would take up a year to retrain with another
To
handler.
the handler, okay, thank you.
So including the one that you want to hire, you're down 3 people.
We have 2 in the academy, the one short right now that just left, and we have another person that's actively looking to leave. Plus would be the court position. Does that make sense? Yeah. And you have to realize, when they go through the academy, we just had one just released. Once you come out on DCGS, and you're required now to work, is it 400 hours? On-the-job training, once you complete the academy. So basically, it takes about 2 years to get this person up and running. And the issue we have on year 3, they go on the next county over for another $10,000, $15,000. And we just, that's the issue we have. We're becoming a training grounds.
And we're paying for the academy.
Yes, for new recruits, and they stay that 3rd year, and then you start.
What does
looking
that
somewhere.
cost, roughly?
$720 for every certified law enforcement officer. Plus their gear, plus their gear.
Plus the car, you're looking at probably about $80K, put someone on the road.
Okay, anything further?
No, I'm just gonna suggest, and I know money's tight. If you think about the saving by retention, which we all know the money saving retention, and I'm wondering if we shouldn't, over the next year or two, look at possible adjustments to the deputy salaries to mitigate that. I mean, that would take some analysis and consideration, but, you know, that turnover is really, it's hard for something like that because of all the money that has to go in to bring a new person on. You just can't go, unless you steal some from another county.
Right.
So, I mean, that's just a thought that came to me.
Well, the compensation study that the board approved in April of '24, which was gonna be effective for FY '25. So now we're getting ready to finish FY '26. Did you have the opportunity then to go through and categorize all your staff into what category they should be in based on their resumes and all that kind of stuff then?
We did that, I think, in 2020 or 2019.
You did.
Yeah, we did. I feel like we did a really good job of getting starting pays closer to where they should be. But to your point, Major Estes, it's the continuing increases after the starting pay that we may need to just look at policy on. That would just, I think, take some sitting down and looking at other localities and how they structure their out years and comparing it to us, maybe, if we could get together and do that.
Because in the compensation study, you know, there were suggestions back and forth. Ultimately, the board decided on, I think it was, they capped it like at 5 or 7 years' experience for like 0.5% or something per each year. But to the point just made here, you know, a continuum. We don't work like the schools where they have a step scale, you know, or, you know, being able to factor in a merit. That would be nice. A lot of times it's COLA. Well, that's different than merit or steps. So certainly, you know, whatever the board's pleasure is, you know, when you would like that review, just let us know. You know, we can go back through that again.
Retention is our major hurdle right now. We get them trained, go through the academy, get them trained, 3 years to 5 years experience, they can go, they can go to Clark and make the extra $5, $10, $15,000.
Do you know how many you cycled through this past year, roughly?
In other words, what's your turnover rate? Have you ever calculated a turnover rate?
4.
Could you, would you?
And they were all, you know, and 2 of them.
I mean, there's a
were both
form, you can look it
from
up, you look up the
somewhere
formula.
else. Born and raised in Madison, somewhere else.
Well, the school system has the same problem.
Sure they do.
They hit what, 10 years, and then they start, and I don't blame them. I mean, if you can go to another district, but.
Yeah.
Are there other things other than salary that would help keep somebody here, whether it's better benefits or other things that?
It's hard to understand, you being over 40 years of age, that you.
Wait, whoa.
Yeah. You think of the future, you make plans. Nowadays, a 23-year-old new deputy, they live for the day. They don't think about the future, they live for the day. And that's what we're seeing, they live, how much money is gonna be in that check at the end of the week? That's all they're, well, 90% are, that's what they're concerned about.
the fact that they are gonna go to Culpeper and have to, serve and protect, how many people? 40,000 versus 14 here.
And the biggest thing, instead of, we're having 2 people work on a shift, they'll have 6 or 7 people work on a shift up there.
Yeah.
It's gonna compete, but you send a young person out, and you can make 15 grand more going to Culpeper. You still got your take-home car, you still got everything that you did here in Madison, but just more money in your pocket today, not thinking 20 years ago.
Where's your staff coming from?
All over. Oh,
As far as.
An hour away?
Yeah, we got, the farthest way is Elton, and then as farthest way is what, almost Unionville, down to Spotsylvania.
2 in Elton, Unionville, Louisa, Orange. I think I counted up, it was either 8 or 9 of our deputies live outside of the county right now. And they travel to work every day.
So leaving about 15 that live here.
Okay. That's certainly something to consider, but yeah, I would like, if you'd I would appreciate getting us a turnover rate over. I don't know, last year is reflective of the turnover as any year, the last rolling 12 months? Yeah, all right.
But if you say you have 4 this year, are you saying just from January? Or you're talking about
Last year.
All right, okay.
They lost the one.
I'm still not caught up to
This
that
past Sunday.
middle of the year thing.
Last Sunday.
Okay.
We have another one actively looking, because we have received information from another county, he's been to another county, and started background.
Closer to where you live.
So you got called for a
Oh, he
reference.
lives here in Madison.
Oh, he does?
Yeah.
Foreman.
Probably for the last 3 years or something like that. I know,
Oh,
not the same
so
agency,
Tilly could
but
do this, huh?
we do the same thing, when we have a discussion with EMS. I think we usually look at the last 3 years.
Our starting salary is good. To all the other counties, just like you said, the 3 to 5, 5 to 7 year, it becomes a stalemate. They're the people that we need to hold on to, especially if they come from Madison, Minnesota, or they go somewhere else.
It's probably harder too, because you don't have the ability to go up through the ranks as you do in the bigger.
That's
units.
correct.
So if you're a small force, it's harder to move your career up, I guess.
But health insurance would help too.
Health insurance?
We have some guys on family plan, large families, health insurance would definitely be a benefit. Especially if you're on 16%, 16%.
So the 2 to 3% that we're proposing, by the time healthcare goes up, they'll end up losing money in their check. That's what they have to think about. Think of the day, that's what they think about.
Yeah, we went through that, was that last week? Yeah. We're aware.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
Thank y'all very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for what you do, putting your life on the line
Yep.
every day. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right. Noah, you want to come sit up front, or you going to take the podium, or what? All right, next we have Emergency Medical Services, Chief Hillstrom.
So my approach, that's working, all right. I have a brief presentation, and then I'm more than happy to answer individual lines, but I really want to highlight kind of our operations, what we're seeing, and how that impacts the budget. And Ms. Turner is going to pull that up for us.
Who's driving, you or Kim?
Oh, sorry.
Who's driving?
Ms. Warren is. Yeah. All right, so good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Appreciate the opportunity to present our FY27 budget request for Madison EMS. Our mission is straightforward, is to provide reliable 24-hour advanced life support response to the residents and visitors of Madison. This request focuses on aligning our staffing and resources with those documented operational needs while continuing to be responsible stewards of county funding. Today, I'll briefly review call volume trends, staffing pressures, key operational needs, and the targeted investments we are proposing to maintain a stable and dependable EMS system for Madison. Next slide, please. So over the past 3 years, EMS call demand has steadily increased. From 2023 to 2025, calls grew by 349. That's roughly 19.2% in 2 years. This reflects sustained operational growth, not a temporary spike. Each additional call increases staffing needs, vehicle usage, and clinical workload. A detailed report is available for your review and is included in your budget packet, and it's also on the next slide. Maybe the following slide. Yeah. So part of our FY27 request is a 12-hour add to the schedule. We're not asking for a position per se. I've been here for a long time, and this chart, we could run it for 10 years, and you're going to see the same metrics. So we know our daytime call volume increases, nighttime it drops off. And we're right in the in-between of, do we need 3 ambulances or do we need 2? Or can we be strategic and target the known busy hours, and we're not paying people overnight that don't need to be there? The other thing that's equally important is when the calls occur. I know some of the board members have active 911, and feel free to scroll through that, and you're going to see multiple calls within the same hour. And it's just, it's God, I guess, I don't know. But we may not run a call for a day, and one call comes in, we're going to be running a couple within that hour. So I'm looking at roughly 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., give or take some, and we'd be looking at 12 hours to help target that need. In my monthly board reports, I do provide you the no units available numbers, and that goal is to hopefully reduce those as well. Next slide, please. So for personnel and overtime, personnel costs represent roughly 80% of our budget. It's labor intensive. Our minimum daily staffing requires 2 advanced life support ambulances and 1 quick response vehicle, equating to at least 5 personnel on duty every day, and that's before accounting for leave, training, and unexpected absences. I know overtime is a big concern. It's a structural necessity for our EMS operations. Our personnel work on an average 56-hour work week, so we're tied to FLSA, so overtime is paid for weekly hours worked above 40.
So the the fire department, if paid fire, is not that way. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
That makes no sense, but it is what it is, huh?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep.
So standard-wise, they're getting 16 hours of overtime every week.
Yeah, so they work 24-hour shifts.
Yeah.
So they work a day, off a day, work a day, off a day, work a day, off for 4, and it repeats. So depending on how that shift falls, you're looking at 48 hours a week, so you've got your overtime there. Or they call it the good shifts, when all 3 of your shifts fall within that pay period. That's where we see big overtime on that. So additional factors, the sheriff kind of mentioned this, but we're a required department. So we have mandatory 24/7 staffing. Vacancies, extended recruitment timelines impact that. When I have a vacancy, I still have to fill that seat. I account for FMLA, military service, and injuries. We had 2 people on injury leave from this past ice storm. Continuing education and credentialing requirements. So when you become certified in EMS, you have to have recurrent training to renew your certification. So it's not a one-time, you're licensed and you're good to go. You've got to continue your training. That requires time to go do that. Calls that extend beyond shifts. So they work 7 a.m. to 7 a.m., but if they get a call at 6:45, they're going. And then finally, response to major incidents. So we had the Quaker Run fire. That's just one example. We had the ice storm. These are unpredictable, and that's what makes presenting a budget challenging is I don't know what major event might happen that's going to require our team. For me, this hits the most home. So recruitment and onboarding can take up to 6 months, during which existing staff and part-time personnel must cover shifts to maintain service. We face a persistent challenge in recruiting experienced EMS providers. Many recent hires come straight from school and require training in fundamental patient care, including basic clinical skills. This lack of experience significantly prolongs orientation and increases part-time and overtime demands. Staffing trends also illustrate this challenge. FY24, I lost 1 part-time, I lost 8 full-time. FY25, lost another part-timer, and I lost 5 full-time. And for FY26, I've lost no part-time, but 2 full-time, and I'll be receiving another resignation in the next several months.
Why are we losing these people?
There's a whole list of reasons, primarily our work schedule and salary. And I'll echo what the sheriff said, our beginning offers are pretty in line. It's the retention, they get trained, and they can hit Green, who offers 1% for every year of experience, up to 20 years, beginning. So base pay, say 48, you've got 20 years, add 20%, that's what they go to. So the market is just, it's hard, it's hard. So high turnover rate and vacancies directly drive our overtime. Conversely, stable, experienced staffing reduces overtime and improves operational efficiency. For years, I mean, I came here in 2004. The median experience level was probably 10, 15 years of clinical. We're now at less than 5. And when you call 911, you want somebody that knows what they're doing. And I'm not going to say a brand new out of school don't know what they're doing, but they don't have the experience. And we're rural, and we have long transport times. So it's not like working in the city of Charlottesville where I can look at UVA. You know, we can get them there. We're with our patient a long time. That takes a good clinician to manage that. Next slide, please.
All of your staff are ALS.
No, sir. So we used to be, so back when Lewis was here, but due to staffing challenges and recruitment, we actually had to start hiring basic. We staff all ALS ambulances, but that requires an ALS provider on each truck. Right. We used to have dual. We used to have like 2 paramedics and so forth. I also want to highlight, before I get to asking for money, to share what kind of cost control measures we're doing. So we remain committed to responsible stewardship of county resources and continuously evaluate opportunities to control costs while maintaining the high level of service our community expects. Recent measures include, and this is the line item budget, we reduced telecommunications and utility expenses through contract review and operational adjustments. We're leasing cardiac monitors instead of spending, like Ms. Warren mentioned, like for the body cams, that one big capital expense. We're able to break that over several years. We became an American Heart Association training site, which has enabled us to do in-house training instead of outsourcing that. So we're seeing savings there. And we adjusted our uniform and medical supply purchasing based on historical usage trends to minimize waste and better manage inventory. The medical supplies and drugs, just so the board's aware, a year ago, there was regulatory changes. We used to have a wonderful relationship with Culpeper. We could go up there, get our medications for free. That's changed. We had to develop our own pharmacy, manage the pharmacy, purchase all the medications, and that's why you're going to see an increase in that line. And this is fluctuating. We don't have a good trend line because it's new. So in the next coming years, we'll be able to figure that out. So one of the big, next slide, please. So one proposal I want to review in detail is that 12-hour peak coverage shift. So the idea is we want to improve our ambulance availability, so that's going to reduce our no units available. We also want to reduce the overlapping calls, and we want to be able to strengthen our response reliability. The estimated annual cost for this is $163,000. These hours will first be offered to part-time staff, with overtime used only if necessary. I also want to share with the board that I would say 90+% of our staff commute over an hour to come to Madison. We don't have people that live here. We only have a couple. The challenge with this is just somebody willing to drive an hour to work 12. So I don't know how successful this will be. And we're kind of at a two branches of the road. Do we make these 12 hours, if approved, required staffing? That's going to increase holdovers or callbacks because we're adding additional hours for the team to have to cover. If we make it voluntary, then it's going to be less than 163K because I'm confident we're not going to get all 12 hours, 365 days a year filled on that. Next slide.
But let me see, to the holdover, I mean, if somebody works 24 hours and you couldn't possibly expect them to work another 12.
That happens frequently.
You're kidding.
I'm not. I wish I was. A lot of agencies, they max it at 72 continuous hours. One of the guys I'm interviewing, he's coming from, I'd like to hire him, but we're dealing with experience and beginning salary, that negotiation stuff. But he's been held for 3 consecutive shifts, over and over and over.
Chief, if I may interject real quick, because I heard a question, but I always like to dissect that as far as what may be industry standard or neighbors versus our holdovers here. Would you say holdovers are common here, or just, for example, like the ice storm? We know there were folks that worked 36 hours.
So one thing that we're blessed with is our holdover and callback is by far less than our surrounding agencies. I am seeing a slight increase with them because it's vacancy driven. It's also injury driven. If we have folks that get hurt out on a call, we've got to backfill it. It's military. I have a lady that's deployed right now, and I'm working, we have to keep her position, but her hours are still needed. So we're filling that with part-time and overtime, or should we hire, somebody full-time? And with our attrition rate as high as it is, I think it's probably smart to do that because by the time she gets back, we'll probably have a seat. I like to give Tiffany all the credit. She's going to blow me away. And in fact, do y'all want me to go through this community paramedicine thing, or do y'all feel pretty up to date on it?
I think we're pretty comfortable on that.
You're good?
Right?
Mr. Chairman, for him, so there's some, I'll say strategy, I'm not saying that's the chief's term. So he's gone through the program. I think you all have a very good understanding. I thank you all for going to visit him too in advance, kind of get some background. But there's also, that's part of his operating request. So if you like the program, he's got a captain position in there. This would become a full-time person. You would backfill the current person who's a lieutenant with another lieutenant. So you may understand the program, but would you like him to get into staffing and funding implications based on that program?
Well, if it's other than, the way I read it, to go full bore on the paramedicine is $111,000, bottom line.
Yep.
That means, okay, sure, then there are a couple of things. Go ahead and explain.
Yep. So in your
Tiffany would become full-time.
Yes, sir.
Like all that.
Yep. So Tiffany's currently a lieutenant. She would be promoted to captain. She'd run the program. She'd also be responsible for other administrative tasks. In your packet, there's a draft job description of what that would look like for your review. So if she moves up, then I have a vacancy. So we would either recruit from within or from outside. So we would be adding only 1 FTE. I can't state strongly enough, this will take time, but I think given the 2 years we've been doing this, we've already shown the data behind it on very little. She just doesn't have that much time. So I think this is going to really, truly, it's a game changer. Quality of life for Madison County residents, and then from a fiscal perspective, again, how many falls have we had, folks that have active 911? I feel like it's every other call there's someone fallen. When you look at my monthly board reports, sick person, falls, traffic accidents, those are our top 3 high volume. And if we can really make that impact and stop that fall from happening again, You're keeping your $500,000 ambulance in service. You're reducing your NUA. You're reducing fatigue on your team. That's going to impact your recruitment retention. It's a domino effect of all positives on that. And $111,000, I understand that's serious money, but I think you're going to see that returned and then some.
So her hours would be, what, 9 to 5, 8 to 4? I mean, she would be working.
She'd be working
more
40
than-
hours, we'll just say 40 hours a week. And then depending on client needs, she would adjust those hours, avoid overtime. But she may work a Saturday instead of a Tuesday on that, based on client deal, so.
And she'd be working out of an office down here at EMS.
Yep, so she currently has her office now, so that's not a need. And there's legislation that she shared with you, but as a reminder, it's not official yet, but we're all confident that being able to bill for non-transport, that's coming. So that's gonna be revenue. And then there's a big grant that we're gonna apply for that I think would easily take care of that 111. It's not official, it's not approved, you know, we have to go through the deal. There's only so many programs right now in the Commonwealth, that's increasing. But our likelihood of getting this grant is high because of that.
It's high.
Very high.
So when does the application go in and when is the
My understanding is,
award?
I'd have to consult with Tiffany. I believe she said April is when we would know exactly what that looks like. And funding in July, I could be very wrong too on that. But it's within the year on that.
So I know when she was up here speaking, she mentioned that once she goes out and sees there's a fall hazard, you guys take care of that, you help the person. If she hadn't done that, it might have been 4 more calls going to that person's home.
Yes.
Right, so what is the cost of going to a call?
So it depends on the call.
A fall.
If a fall, I'd probably say 500. I mean, you've got man-woman hours, you've got ambulance time, fuel, maintenance, medical supply costs. Let's say it's a cardiac arrest. Now we're breaking out medications,
No, so I'm
advanced life
trying to do
support.
what she's doing, right? So her
Yeah.
job is to try to prevent these falls and other things
Yes.
that deal with the home. So if you're saving $500 3 times, you know, for that person, so say it's $1,500. How many of those calls, is there a number broken down yet to see what that saves the county or your department? And this is gonna pay for that $111,000.
Between the grant and being able to bill for non-transports, that's going to take care of the 111.
I know, but say we don't get those.
None of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know if there's a way to break
So
that out.
I don't have it with me in her presentation, so it's in her packet she provided y'all. She provided those costs.
Those numbers, okay.
And the revenue generated from
Yeah,
that.
we can go back and look at those again. She
Yeah.
did
But
give that to us.
It's kind of a no-brainer if you really are saving those runs.
Yeah, but like, when I was talking to Noah before, it's like, okay, so for right now, if we said, yeah, then $111,000 gets spent with nothing coming on the revenue side. So, I mean, it's a fact that one of these days, we're gonna have to have 3 crews running instead of 2, you know? And this is very likely to put that off for.
Right.
I mean, you get these you get the alerts, right? I get the alerts.
The vast majority are for age-related incidents. It's a nice way of saying old people are falling, they're not taking their medicine.
Yeah.
We're getting older.
Our county's getting older.
The number of calls, that graph that you put up early on in your presentation does not match the increase in population.
Right.
Right, that's right.
So,
And it's due to the aging
yeah,
population.
sure.
A couple questions for now. You know, one of the things, the legislation for being able to bill for care in place, I want to talk to you about that. That's something we will get behind and support. And probably get with VACO. I don't know whether the VACO is supporting that or not, but we'll work on that. The other issue, and I meant to ask the sheriff this, I don't know why I forgot about it. With regard to your grants that you write and you receive, would it be beneficial for you to have additional help or staffing for grant writing? Are we losing grants or are we not, we passing grants by? I mean, you would know how to answer that
I
question.
would highly recommend a part-time grant writer,
Okay.
For your department or for the county?
county.
For the county.
Highly recommend it. There's a lot of grants out there we don't have the ability to apply for.
Okay, thank you. That's,
Yes, sir.
we're working on that right now.
So I have a question about Tiffany, and she's the one that's gonna be answering these calls, say the fall calls. Does she go by herself?
She would, yeah.
Wait a minute.
These
That's
are,
not the
these
way I
are
understand-
follow-ups.
Follow-up.
Right. that's
Oh,
the
they're follow-ups.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not
so-
the initial, they're trying to figure out, like, why did you fall? Is there a bad transition
Okay,
strip between
okay, I
floor
Yeah.
surface?
So ambulance will go do their assessment, and then, oh, this is for Tiffany.
Tell her.
She's contacted and we'll follow up.
And
Yeah.
then Tiffany's still doing her desk job that she's already doing. Is she
Right.
gonna be able to do that too?
Yes.
Okay.
And she has been doing it.
Yeah,
She-
she does, and,
Yeah, I
I
mean,
do
she's,
think
and then
a
some.
grant writer is a great idea, somebody who is really good at that.
Does she go out on calls now?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
I just
She's a
was thinking-
lieutenant, which is required, she's a paramedic as well. She's certified in many things. So, yes, she does that. The thing is, right now, when this program started, we approached the board, 2024, I think, something like that, was to start small, maybe start with fall calls. But you're literally doing it with a party of one. So that individual could become fatigued, work a lot of hours, you know, you're kind of getting pulled in a bunch of different directions. So what's being proposed by the chief is this would be a standalone position. It's a captain position. It's been revamped. So we had a captain position probably about 2 years ago
Yep.
now, around the wildfire timeframe. That was eliminated through a budget process. Well, it was kind of attrition in the budget process. And this would be bringing it back, but that job description has been revamped. It'll be more administrative support. My understanding, Chief, it's not necessarily oversight of the crew. There may be some programming things they do, but it's not like a
She'd
daily
be helping
oversight.
me stay in line.
Right.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, that's good.
Yep. I'm more than happy to answer more questions about community paramedicine or roll on to capital. So just to review real quick our capital requests. So reliable EMS depends on dependable equipment. Our frontline ambulances operate under far more demanding conditions than typical county vehicles. They repeatedly start from standby, they accelerate rapidly, go to the scenes, they remain there while doing patient care, et cetera. So the combination of this is just increased wear and tear, breakdown, et cetera. So we do have a fleet replacement plan. That's in your packet. What we're looking for is to replace Medic 4, which is a 2020 Ford F-450. The county's replacement for ambulances is 5 to 7 years, so we're tracking that. The current market pricing is between $460,000 and $511,000. And the delivery time that's quoted is 1 year from the time of order, which is better. The current two we have, it's 3 years. So the delivery is getting
And I would
fingers
specify
crossed.
that's vendor too.
Different vendor, yes.
And Noah, is that more, the replacement of those, is that more oriented to the time, 5 or 7 years, or mileage?
Mileage, hours are and historical mechanical history. So we have 2 ambulances that are gasoline chassis. We save money up front, thinking like instead of diesel, but they've been maintenance nightmares. Diesel is just more robust. So we're transitioning to an all diesel fleet on that.
So we basically looking at one per year?
Jennifer has a sheet, I mean, there's
That
2
sheet.
that's gonna
Yes.
hit in FY '27. You're gonna have one in September of this 2026, and then you'll have one hit in April or so of 2027.
Yes, sir.
But it's still in FY '27's budget. That is dealing with the vendor, help me out here.
Atlantic.
Road Rescue or Atlantic.
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 Chief Hillstrom has identified another vendor, but we're also looking at quality and comparison, so we're not just trying to find the cheapest widget out there, because there are some out there that I would recommend just staying away. So Braun is a comparable, shorter turnaround time, probably better price.
And we
we've
currently
also-
have bronze too.
What's that?
We currently have bronze.
So the other thing, and I'm not saying commit to it today, but we have talked and explored, is, do they both have the same box, if you will, in the back? Because when you think about rechassing, that's just getting the latest new chassis, whether it's Dodge, Ford, whoever. If you can standardize on that box, you may, instead of that 5 or 7 years, you may get a longer lifetime out of the box. The rechassis would be cheaper, but again, we've had conversation about that. That's assuming the box stays the same, and at some point, it's got to stay a certain size because it won't fit in the building. But we do believe through some strategies or quicker turnaround. Go to that schedule, please, because I'm not sure. I think we talked about, the question is, do you forego putting an ambulance order in FY '27 because of the quicker turnaround time and come back in FY '28, so you're staggering your fleet? Is that correct, Chief?
Yes, sir, that is correct. And this, again, we're in a guessing game. Our fleet, you can appreciate the mileage, February 26, kind of middle column. I would say give it a year. For the majority, we'll have all over 6 figures for mileage. So it's just.
We're gonna keep one of the
as
older ones as a spare.
As a spare, yeah. So we'd have, so our end goal is to have a total ambulance fleet of 5. It is proven when one breaks down, there's going to be another one. If one gets wrecked, then when it rains, it pours. I don't know why. It's kind of like calls coming in. So we've determined 5 is the appropriate number there. And our fleet is, right now it's great. It's that turnaround time of when you order an ambulance, by the time you get the ambulance, where's the rest of your fleet going to be at? And what's going to happen between now and then? We had an ambulance crash, several months ago. Thank God, everyone was okay. But that one ambulance was out of service for many months, getting repaired. So now we're down to 4. And the other thing is we try to be good stewards of surrounding counties. So we have a great relationship with Greene. If they're down an ambulance, we'll loan one of ours. Vice versa, we'll get an ambulance. So being able to have that relationship and fleet numbers, helps the local area.
Okay, so that's the ambulances. And what is this side-by-side about, Noah?
Yes, sir. So being rural, we've had multiple incidences where an ambulance or even the quick response vehicle couldn't get to the patient, or there was an extended time to be able to get to the patient. So in 2025, there were 6 notable incidents of those, and one of them, it was a 52-minute response time. They dialed 911, and it took us 52 minutes to try and get to them. I'll be pretty quick with this one, but there's camps, so Hoover Ridge, Camp Varsity, Rapidan, et cetera, trying to get into there. They're hiking, they're on trails, et cetera. So it's like a better way to be able to get to the patient. And then our most recent ice storm, everything was slipping and sliding. If we were able to deploy the UTV to be able to get through the ice and the snow, it would have been really, really beneficial. The street festival, in your packet, there's a list of standby events that we do. A UTV is pretty much an agency standard if you look at other localities, to be able to just have a mobile deployment on that.
Noah, what truck are you going to pull that with? One of those 2 light trucks?
Yeah, so all of our vehicles can pull. So, yep. So there's a F-250. Yep. So either one of those could pull, and the Tahoe.
And you would keep that in the shed, the whole trailer and all in the shed beside?
Yes, sir. Yeah. So we would have part of our request is a trailer for it to live in, and then that trailer would be housed under shelter. And you have a question?
Yeah, oh, no, I'll go ahead.
Last one is they're called cradle points. So these are basically internet for the ambulances, and the ones that we have are end of life. These are critical for hospital communications. To give you a quick example, if a patient's having a heart attack, we're able to do the EKG, but we need a method to transmit that to the hospital so they can activate their team. Also for medication tracking, and for the crews to be able to do their electronic reports. So when they do patient care, they have to document everything on that. Any questions
Is that
on?
Is that on this list right here?
It's in our capital.
Right?
That's concise.
That's the concise.
Yeah.
And this is a way too,
Oh.
you load, I am not an EMS provider, but you load things in the computer, which then transmits to the hospital, ahead of time to hospital.
Correct, yeah. The electrical rhythm of the heart. Mhm. And there's also telemedicine, so we're with UVA and their stroke team to where they can do a virtual consult. So if we're taking care of a patient suffering stroke, they can dial in, it's video conferencing, and they can talk with the provider, provide instructions, ask questions, and this is all about saving time. Time is brain, time is heart on that. And I have good news. So speaking of grants, and thank you, Ms. Warren, for your help. I've always tried to apply for RSAF. I've been successful one time, but we're going to give it another whirl. I have a good feeling about this application. So the ambulance request, the side-by-side, the concise, so the one we just went over. I've not talked to you about dotty belts. I'm happy to answer questions, but that's lifting and moving for the crew. And our pharmacy locker system, I'm applying for a grant. So the total cost of all those items is $527,506.21. If awarded, we would receive $263,753.11 back. So we're trying to do our best to find money for our capital needs. That's due March 16th. We'll get award notification July 1st.
So the cost was $527, and we could get grant proceeds of $263.
Yes, sir, it's a 50-50, so half of that 567.
Was that in the packet? Because I remember seeing that. The 263.
I don't think.
No, that was the PowerPoint that Chief Hillstrom put together for us for tonight. I'm happy to upload these PowerPoints for you guys, that you have them after the meeting. You can review them.
So that is my very long deal, but I'm more than happy to go through the, line by line if there's any questions.
Questions from the board at this point?
Yes, sir.
Well, I guess I guess it's a question, yeah. So we've got some pretty heavy lifts here. We got the power shift, we got the paramedicine, we got ambulance, we've got side-by-side, we've got the whatever it
Trailer.
was. Huh?
The trailer too.
Yeah, the trailer and all that goes with the side-by-side, and we've got concise quotes. So if you had to prioritize, how would you prioritize all that stuff?
So community paramedicine, number one.
Yeah?
It's a WAG for the ambulance.
Mhm.
If our current fleet behaves, then we're okay deferring that for a year. I would put the side-by-side probably at the bottom of that if we needed something to trim.
Yeah.
Our pharmacy locker system is needed. So without going too much, this medication stuff is all new. And so we're doing the best we can learning in real time. We just need more space to be able to manage what we have on that. So
Yeah, I I guess, the vending machine I saw down there, this,
So it would be,
that's only part of it. of
yep, it would be
what's-
identical to that. And
It'd be
they would
identical to
connect, yep.
And how much was that?
7,500, but I think our quote was like in the $9,000
Okay,
range
that's-
because of the future and
Is
things
there
get.
any tie-in we can look at? Is it opioid kind of related stuff?
I would feel confident opioid could fund that. I'm hoping the grant will help fund that, but if we don't get it, then yes.
And on the ambulance, I will speak on that because we have signed 2 contracts for 2 ambulances already. One is, we had already done the appropriation for, the one that's coming in this year that we have to pay for. The appropriation was done. We have the debt funding in place to pay for it. But the second one that we've ordered that's slated to come in spring of 2027, that's the one that the board needs to appropriate for FY '27. But it's already been ordered and it's already in the works, so there's really not a, we can't trim that off the list to fix.
The order and contract was approved by the board, so I just want to make that clear.
Yeah, I was getting
Yeah.
ready to say
We
something
don't
about
do
that.
things without board approval. The appropriation though is now.
It's,
Ms. Warren.
right,
That's
so,
right.
so for trimming, that's the only one we can't trim.
And then to add on to your question, like, is this power shift? I truly don't know how successful, like, if we make it a voluntary sign up for 12 hours, I don't know what kind of
Yeah, it's
sign
gonna
up
work.
I'm going to get.
All right.
But I just want y'all to be aware that we're trying to target to reduce those NUAs. And I really don't want to say all this capital stuff and now I need a 30
Right.
ambulance.
And, I mean, knowing Tiffany, I mean, she's gonna be there during the day, and if you get a call, she's gonna go.
She will. Thank you for bringing that up. So just so the board's aware, we staff typically 2, sometimes 3 ambulances a day. But if all the units are out, Gavin and I we're that backup.
Yeah.
So we're getting in that unit and Tiffany would help with that. So it's kind of a backup and that could help with it anyway, because we're able to deploy that.
Yeah, I had a meeting scheduled with Noah and Gavin one morning, and Noah called me, and both of them, they were riding the truck, so we don't have anybody that won't do whatever it takes.
I just circulated to the, and I think Mr. Buchanan may have it pulled up. I was whispering your name. Go to slide number 21. But I just recirculated the community paramedicine presentation that was put on. And slide 21 will kind of give you an idea if you, I think she has projected like 25 patients or something to queue. So you'll see that cost per call, like if it's a 911 call, avoided the cost per call, the ED visit,
a
the
call.
transport. So those numbers are kind of what the estimates
Yeah.
are.
What's the total, Judd?
Estimated savings, 112,000.
Yeah, that's what I remember, it's a wash.
Yeah.
Other questions for Chief?
I've got,
Wilson?
I don't even know where I came from, but I've got a question mark here. I wrote down standby request. What would that have been?
So we're seeing more and more of these. So right now we're doing county events, so like the high school, JV varsity. But we're also doing things like Graves Mountain, going down to Woodbury, all that. Yep, and that,
Same thing as sheriff.
same thing as the sheriff. Yes, sir. Yep, that adds to overtime.
And Mr. Snyder, that's a good point. I think right after I got here, I started seeing these large-scale event requests or different things. I'm not recommending one way or the other, I'm just giving a little history here. We looked at, because that time, it was literally my first week here, it's like, all right, we're gonna, rescue squad and all that, so that literally happened that first week. But with the volunteers, there are certain things that they are now required to do because they're not volunteers. Volunteers had plenty of ambulances, they had people that kind of put on these events. So you normally see them at all the football games. There's no cost to you unless you donated it to, money to them. They could go to Woodbury, or they can make, before they even adopted this policy, they can make a trip wherever you want them to go. If they said UVA, we're gonna take you there. They later changed about 6 months to a year before they dissolved, I guess, the appropriate term. where they follow the same policy where it's the closest appropriate facility because insurance and all that stuff, they look at, well, why are you taking them there? And we're also looking at keeping ambulances in the county because you don't know when that second or third call also comes. But we looked at, and at that time, you know, do we reach out to these folks that are doing these things? Some of them used to give donations to the squad. Do we ask for donations for MIMS? Do we make it where there's a form they fill out if they expect dedicated service, there's a cost for that? I'm not gonna name the businesses here today, but I reached out to a couple different, and the reception I got is we already pay our taxes, so if we've gotta pay for a dedicated facility, a unit, we'll probably just call you if we need one. And now certainly we may not wanna take that approach. Generally, they staff all these because you got street festivals, you got grades, that's thousands of people. We don't wanna just wait. I mean, there's been times, I think you had 3 calls up in the area this past event up there. It could be bees things, it could be, you just never know. But there is a cost for these standbys. So again, I'm not suggesting that, but that's the difference now because they have to absorb that. We don't have that volunteer effort.
Are we required to be there?
I don't think there's a requirement.
Certain ones we probably are. I mean, for a football game, for example.
My understanding is in order for them to have a football game, they gotta have an ambulance.
Yeah, VHSO probably requires that.
But that's the only one. The rest of them are,
Braves has an event, are we required to be there?
no, sir.
If you're down there at an event and something else happens, I asked the sheriff same thing.
Mhm.
Would you leave there or?
So if they're the only available unit in the county, they would leave. Yep, because we don't want to have an emergency and then answer, well, why didn't you come? You had an ambulance. So they would leave.
And sometimes he may upstaff. If you look at where the event is located in the county, even if you may leave that event to go somewhere else, you're going from far end of the counties to do so. So, again, just something to think about. That, yeah, we've absorbed a lot since the volunteer days. And we appreciate those volunteers. I want to make that clear.
I'm also, I mean, you just kind of reminded me, we do have a volunteer division, and we're trying to recruit. So we're up to four volunteers, and, you know, if I could get everything in the world, it would be, you know, our standbys would be from our volunteer division to help with that. So that's what we're trying to work on and build.
Yeah. You know,
I have a
and
bullet here. Multiple people on light duty. Is that just from the fall? Was that where it's coming from, or you got?
So this year, the ice storm was rude. I mean, we had 2 out from the ice storm. Our job is labor intensive. I mean, these folks, that's why you see a chase vehicle chasing an ambulance, is to help with on-scene logistics and lifting and moving to help avoid these injuries. The #1 retirement deal for EMS is back. You blow your back out, you're done. So we're doing that dotty belt that I have in there, that's a thing that goes on the patient to help move them, so we're not just bending down and hurting the back. But yes. And then I would say military would be our second. We had several, over the years, there's been 1 or 2 folks that, you know, serve the country, and when they get deployed, we got to cover their hours.
all right. Well, anything else? All right.
Cool. Thank
you,
y'all.
sir.
Appreciate that.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Very much.
Y'all did a great job. Thank you.
And thank you very much.
Okay, is it over 50 break time?
You like to take a break?
Yeah, give me 5 minutes. I don't even know, 5 minutes, just give me a minute. All alone, oh, you already took your break.
There's snacks, there's water, that goes for the Smiths too. We're not singling you out. If you like water, snacks, they're over there. By Mr. Jewett.
Here's these.
I was afraid Mike was gonna take them all.
Yeah, Kim wants one of those too, yeah.
And you want one too, didn't you? Oh. I'm gonna open them.
There's cookies there.
I was just, didn't feel, I was like, let me just go over there.
I thought the EMS might have to show up at your house today.
Yeah.
I thought the EMS might have to show up at your house today.
What was that?
You got the good news about the
I didn't bring napkins in
2
here. I
bills.
apologize.
Oh, yeah.
Thought you were gonna fall out of your chair.
I was really surprised.
Yeah.
Oh, man, you're good.
Cookie, anybody?
You want a cookie too?
What did I get? I can't remember, was it caramel or fudge? They had chocolate on it, so I was like, this looks like it's good.
I think some coconut in there. too.
Coconut.
Yeah.
I did like coconut, but I don't know if I.
Coconut's
Just
healthy
dry.
for you, so you eat 2 of these.
That's right.
Whoa, they're nice and soft, they're not like some of the other ones that have that. little
Oh, no
hard.
kidding, Nancy.
Well, I was just asking out.
Man, don't put them in front of me.
Yeah, they're kind of, let them hover right there, please, Joe.
Yeah.
What you got?
Or it's got a little coconut, a little
Coconut
chocolate,
cookies?
they're nice and soft though.
I like coconut.
And those are, I don't know what they call those.
Little glazed.
Tractor tires?
$5.
Sugar up here? Is this what we need before?
I thought about it when I went for lunch, I said, let's go over to Food Line and make sure we feed folks this time. Charlotte's not here, she used to home make stuff, so I'm not Charlotte, I
Yeah,
can at
doing
least
that.
buy a treat.
I'm gonna try one of these donuts.
Kim, you want some more? Oh, I know. I shouldn't have had the first one, but, you know.
Rap and legal services.
Oh, yeah.
There was one year we just didn't invite them.
Yeah, the first budget year I was on, Charlotte said, they're not getting any money out of us. They'll sue us. I said, okay. No, I wouldn't think there would be a lot of elasticities. People are gonna eat. If it costs them another penny, I don't think it's gonna make that much difference, you know, percent. But I don't know for sure.
Well, I think it might make a difference. It would make no
If we do,
difference.
it makes sense then.
You had a
That way,
large
I hate to bring it back, like I told Liz, like, we'll just have
Right.
departments come back and speak to their suggested
Probably would make
increases.
much
Normally,
difference.
we've covered it, that's about probably good to have.
A plethora of restaurants. And I think it would probably be somewhat inelastic.
Okay. Everybody ready? We got CIP and CARP updates.
Mr. Chairman, I'll start off if that's okay, and then Mr. Weekly can continue. So page 279 in the agenda packet is the, I first listed the debt finance CIP items at the very top for you. Facility study, which Mr. Weekly will talk to those items in a moment. That is $360,000. Are you not able to find it? We did have an amended agenda packet, so it could be,
Oh, yeah, I'm on 271. But
okay.
What it is, 271?
No, download, if you don't mind, download the
Current one?
current agenda packet, because we had to amend it when we received information, additional information.
When was that brought out?
I think we've amended it over the last day. Yeah.
Do we need to go to OneDrive?
Go to the county website if you'd like. And on the website, there is the agenda packet.
Yeah, that's updated, that's one I've got. It's 27, starting 27.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'll pause a minute until you have a chance to download it.
Well, I took your donuts away, that probably. Is that what it did? That's what it did.
Okay.
So 279.
Two
79.
Yep. Uh-huh.
So on
Everybody got it?
on the screen, you'll see the ambulance purchase and the facility study items that we'll touch on, which encompass the courthouse. There's some items at the courthouse, CID building, transfer station, and EMS station that are slated for facility study replacement or repair. So the total debt financed items that are going to be on the list for capital total $860,000. And I'll pause here and let Jonathan, Mr. Weekly can touch on those specific facility study items.
Thank you, Ms. Warren. So on the facility side, and I don't want to get confused, when we talk overall CIP, there may be things above and beyond what was debt financed. That was part of the late fall that included some school and county projects. So we did not add any new facilities projects, although we will have to have a conversation, something that joint CIP members learned from the schools on some HVAC. But on the county side of the house, what was programmed in that debt financing, some of those projects will be completed by the end of this year. They're actually will, we anticipated, I think we put in our last update within 90 days of having the solicitation and contract. So your EMS station, there was some roofing replacement needs to be done. There was $150,000 allotted for that. Most of that will be for the membrane roof. What we learned is once we renovated that building and we conditioned those upper bays, being conditioned is we didn't have it environmentally controlled prior to that. I don't know if the regulations on drugs and things like that were the same as they are now, but we went to a conditioned building. That created some rise in the membrane, so any stress crack, it has stretched the membrane and created some leaking. And then the lower, you kind of walk from the upper bay to the lower section. In between there is they've got some metal roofing on top that needs some attention as well. So $150,000 was allocated. Again, all this has been approved by the board through your debt financing. There's $88,000 there for roof replacement of CID. Similar, they have a membrane roof, and we'll work with the sheriff on the proper scheduling to get that done this fiscal year we're in now. We're still trying to find some concrete contractor to do some repairs on our push wall. It is the push wall inside the tipping floor at the transfer station. You could see if you use that building, there's rebar and all showing in that. We thought about just, we had one welder come out and see if we could plate that. The problem is there's not an even wear. It kind of waves, the wall kind of waves at you. So you can't just put a plate up there and think that's going to take care of it. At least that's what the welder said we brought out. So trying to find a way to reconfigure that. There was a $30,000 allotment for that. And then there was a contingency put in for $26,800 for that. We also had contingency in the schools.
So this is all contained in the 360 right there.
Let me go back up to the prior page. That should be part of your 360.
Okay,
Yes.
got it.
Then we have, some of it's gonna hit in FY '27. So as Jennifer talked about, we have an ambulance in there for $500,000. Call handling equipment, I can't remember if this is the grant portion or our portion.
It's our portion.
That's our portion. I think the total is over
400K, so our portion that's not covered by the grant is 220. The courthouse cameras, we did put that in there as well. And actually that may come in under budget. We're hopeful on that, so we hope we can save about 10 or 15K. Part of that is our wonderful IT department, and coordinating and doing some things there. So that's an FY '27. War Memorial Building, there's an older lift chair there. That system needs to be updated. And then the transfer station scale, we had that on as FY '27. That may be something we want to move into this year. So the good news is the money's there if we wanted to do that, to move it from FY '27 into the current. There might be, I don't know if we have to do a supplement or not, but we can work on that. So that really rounds out the facilities. I did not want to add anything new. There are some out years. So Jennifer included in the packet further down, there's a few facilities listed in there, primarily the ones that have projects for FY '27, but there are some out years that you may have to make decisions on at that time. So we wanted to keep it the same because that's what you borrowed money, and knowing that we may have additional non-facility related needs that you would have to address. So we wanted to keep that flat. Yes, sir.
Me?
Yes, sir.
I'm
Do you have a
sorry. I
question?
didn't know. What about the trailer down there?
The trailer.
Transfer station.
The trailer, we're gonna have to come out, most likely with a contingency on that. There will be probably a small, claim check we'll get from insurance, but nothing near to either cover the major repairs or the replacement. I appreciate Mr. Snyder. We talked about some options, so we'll continue to explore that. The good news is that water line was repaired. So I do believe the building that they're in, from a structural standpoint, it's okay to safe to be in. But when we pulled off the back 10, and when I say the back, that wall faces the old landfill cells, so where those hills are. So when you pull in, the left is where the old landfill was. Not only the vertical 2x4s were rotted, the seal plate was rotten. So we cannot blame that all on the water leak that was underneath that burst during that, was it February cold snap, which we did leave the faucet dripping and it still froze. But obviously those panels, they are not connected or as tight or sealed as they should be, because that's over time when you get rot like that. And we did have Weaverworks come out and look at that to kind of confirm what we thought we saw. I just don't believe the money, putting money back in to try to repair that, you're probably gonna be ahead.
Are we thinking just Band-Aid though for now, and it's another year away, or?
I think you probably should go ahead and look at something now.
Okay.
We did not do anything above our heads to see if it's, roof, truss. The thing on that is if it was, it would probably be on the end. So a lot of times, that doesn't do too much on structural, but I believe you're at end of life on that. Believe it or not, we're struggling on, not just vendor, but vendor availability. Because a lot of feedback I'm getting right now is because of the data center boom, a lot of these job site trailers are being sourced for that. I do need to have a follow-up. I know you giving me additional vendor, Mr. Snyder.
I called them, and
Okay.
they do not sell them.
Okay.
They only rent them.
Yeah, and that seems to be why, and they may be pushing that because of the demand, like school construction or data centers. Because I've been asked over again, you want to rent one? I'm like, no, we want to purchase. This is long-term. But it's becoming a little more difficult than one would expect. The thought initially was find a job site trailer. The existing is a 12x24. Try to maybe a 12x20 or a 10x20. It just needs to have an office, a bathroom, maybe a little small kitchenette area. Not a sink, but just put a fridge in there. And one of the vendors right now is looking to, you may have to go bigger because he says ADA, I think you need 7x7, 7 foot by 7 foot space for a bathroom. We generally don't keep that open for the public, but if we gotta have it, we gotta have it. And he said, we may have to look at building you something. And I kind of get a little, I like to have something that's already in stock, but we're continuing to work with it.
Prices on that at all?
Sir?
Did they give you any kind of roundabout price on
No, because the only other available, so one, they haven't built it yet to give me, or give me an estimate, because building it, I mean, there's two different types of building. There's designing it, so what you want to build, and that's when we should be able to get a price, and then the building itself. The only other availability, it didn't fit our needs, they had like an 8x20, but that had no bathroom, and we got to have a bathroom. Even though it's a contractor employee, it's still, it's proper to have a restroom. So I would like to, as soon as we get pricing, we can get it sooner. I'd like to bring it to you for contingency for this year. If not, we would bring it to you for contingency of next year.
Last question on this, if we put it on the other side.
So
Is that gonna be a big issue?
I would think, now, if we can get a trailer, you just hook to the tongue, you move it. I mean, you still gotta take crane or different things to set it on block. What I would recommend, and again, we'll look at other options. The trailer allows you to just kind of move quickly. If you get the other one out there, we'll probably smash that, put it in the dumpster. There's no value in that. I mean, take the tin off,
Salvage
but
it.
unless we're gonna take it to the recycle ourselves, you throw it in the pile.
Yeah.
But you wanna be able to move quickly and try to keep it to a 2-day closure, using one of your closed days anyway as Wednesday. Far as realigning it, that would be the dream, right? Brian and I have already talked about that, but there's a little more planning I think needs involved. Yes, we have to replace the scales. You'd have to relocate, get power on the other side, intercept the water in the sewer. The good news is those utilities come from that side.
Okay.
Because you're either putting the sewage back across into the drain field at the animal shelter, or you're getting water from the well at the animal shelter to the trailer. So you still gotta do some work, and there'll probably be some grading there. If you notice when you drive through, that right-hand side has some taper. But so there'll be a little more planning for that. But if you can get something that's mobile
Right.
and move, I think we can plan on
And I
that.
think you'll be able to recoup some more costs, because we used to be able to see everything coming in. Right now, it's just looking across, people are driving by.
And
It's
it's
just no
safer too. I don't wanna
Yeah.
jinx this. My wife brought this up and I was like, Cindy, you're gonna jinx this. But she said, well, somebody's gonna fuss. What do you mean? You go across, but she had a good point, because when you drive through, you're weighing, you're not getting out of your vehicle. When you come back, you weigh.
Right.
Well, you're not on the deck side, you're on the little
Right.
railing side of things.
Right.
So that's a valid point there. So I think that it might be a long-term, or not long-term, but more planning involved. Right now, if we can at least get that trailer situation solved,
Okay.
I think it'll take care of a health, safety thing, if you will. But we did not pull all the panels off on every side. I was inside doing the little knock test, and then I easily put a hole in the wall. I mean, I wasn't trying to Mike Tyson it, but that's where I picked in there, and my finger could get all the way to the metal.
Yeah,
So,
it's in bad shape.
yeah.
So the debt financed items are $860,000. Those, again, we've already secured funding for, although the board would still need to formally appropriate the funds. The non-debt financed capital asset replacement items are basically those, mainly the department's requests that you've been hearing. So I've listed those from IT down to Commissioner of Revenue. You can see all of the requests that came in. I think you've already heard from IT, you've heard from EMS, Animal Control you've heard from on their request. If they do have that third person, they would need the vehicle. The radio system, that budget, Mr. Gordon will talk about next week, but he would need a new radio for that Animal Control part-time position if it's approved. Sheriff, you heard from him on the motor vehicle request, as well as his other equipment request. Parks and Rec, you've heard from as well on the X-Mark zero-turn mower request and the replacement of the aerator. And then the registrar, Ms. Eanes mentioned about the replacing the voting equipment, and we could set aside $40,000 per year in FY '27, '28, '29, and '30 to prevent having it all come due at once. So we put $40,000 for FY '27. And the Commissioner of Revenue, that's just that reassessment. We set aside $50,000 a year for the every 6-year county reassessment that we pay for. So total non-debt financed items, $823,646 for a total between CIP and CARP of $1.68 million.
And what is not in here, maybe a perfect segue. Were you gonna go to the school thing next, or should I wait on that?
Yeah,
What would you prefer?
we can touch on that now.
So, Mr. Snyder and Mr. Yao are both your representation on the joint CIP committee that makes up the 2 school board members, 2 BOS, and then staff both sides. Initially, when they did their work session with the board, they specified no new, well, one, no, level funding for operation, but also they would have no new projects. They would stay within whatever CIP, because we borrowed money for that as well. Since that time, I'm sorry, I should have gave you the paperwork on that. I'm going off memory here. Since that time, they have 2 units that are in dire need. When I say 2 units, 2 HVAC units. I'm speaking to the microphone. One for the high school, one for the middle school. I know one of the examples Stacy or Dr. Timmons gave us, he's head of maintenance there. One of those units that, they have to keep tweaking on. I think it hung the other day, and somewhere in the hallway or class, it was like around 86 degrees. And that is in their facilities condition assessment report, just like we had ours done back in 21 or 22. But that's $650,000 for both units. I spoke to Ms. Warren and said, can you please scan and see where would that money come from? This would be an FY '27. We're hoping they can make it limping along, and you all would agree to fund this in FY '27. Jennifer, you want to speak to maybe about the funding source potential for this project?
I can go into the fund balance next.
Sure.
Well, first, are there we want to talk about any additional capital questions, and then we can talk about fund balance being a potential.
Or if either CIP member has comments on those
Yeah.
2 HVAC units. I mean, you both were in attendance for me.
They are, yeah, it's inevitable. We're gonna have to do that, and we might as well, get it going now, because if we do something down the line, 10 even 10 years from now, to replace the school or repair the school, then we will have gotten some use out of this. But you gotta have heat, right?
And Jennifer will have a strategy when we get to she's got some debt schedule, and, it'll talk about fund balance and all that, so. Ms. Warren?
All right. Would you like me to go into the fund balance discussion, or are there any other questions on capital items?
You mean this
Yes.
handout?
Yes.
One thing,
Sure.
Yeah.
Jonathan, and that's, looking at the ambulances, and I'm trying to remember what we had done with that. We were talking about the lease versus buy, so where are we at on that?
So, and I'm gonna give a response, and then also ask Ms. Warren to chime in. When we looked at that, I believe, when you look at lease versus purchase, you're always looking, all right, what can I afford as a payment or a purchase price, just total cost year over year. So when you looked at a lease versus purchase, naturally, you're gonna pay a little more over the lifetime of that lease versus purchasing it. I do think that I wish we were in a better position when we ordered these other 2 ambulances to maybe done that through Braun versus this, because I think the savings could have played out and gave us an option with lease. But it's in my opinion, I think purchasing these assets will not only save the county some funds in the long haul, but that's what I think your best position would be. But Ms. Warren?
I would agree after the analysis on the lease, over the life of the lease and the cost, and also talking to the Davenport and their opinion on it. It seems like a purchase is a better option for us. And I've even talked to other localities, and they all recommend, the ones that I've spoken with, I think Culpeper, and I don't know if I talked to Green, but Culpeper for sure is that they do the purchase.
The re-chassis may be way to go, Supervisor Jewett, because again, if you standardize the box, that's what's got all the tools and the stuff in it for them, and you're just putting on a newer chassis. Now, we know chassis is outrageous when you go to buy a vehicle, but at least you're just securing that. It doesn't mean that the box, which is where you load the patient, is not important, but it generally stays in good shape. the wear and tear goes on the chassis of the vehicle. So we're hoping, you know, if we standardize on that, if it's a whatever size by whatever size and all that, then we can start rechasing, just keep the box and do that. So at least, you know, maybe every other cycle, you know, we're reconditioning ambulance and not buying a new one. I'm not saying that you will never buy a whole unit again, which would be the box and the chassis, but I think it's gonna stretch out the investment in that total unit by reusing that box for a new chassis. So to be determined on that, but we've done some analysis on that, and that appears to be the case. One, with the newer vendor, it appears to be, it could be a cheaper price, equivalent products, I want to make that clear. Turnaround time's good, and it could also be rechassied. So we're hoping that we'll have some positive momentum that we'll see, at least with our next ambulance purchase request we'll bring to you. It may not be FY '27, it'll probably be FY '28.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
So in an effort to, I knew that we really needed to understand what is our fund balance look like now that the audit is completed. Where are we at with our unassigned fund balance? Because we have some decisions to make during budget time. So I wasn't able to get this completed until yesterday. That's why it didn't go in the initial agenda packet. However, a PowerPoint is now attached to the most recent agenda packet, if you download that. And I'll just quickly go through the numbers for you so you understand post FY '25 audit results and what fund balance looks like. First on the screen, I wanted to show you on the general fund, the revenues were $662,000 higher than budgeted in FY '25. So that $662,000 dropped to fund balance. And you can see in this slide, that's Exhibit 8 on page 103 of the audit report, and you can see the breakdown of where we were over revenue, which categories.
Let
Sure.
me, so have everybody got their book?
Is that what this is then?
No, this book that we got
The
from
audit.
the auditor. Well, all right, that's what I want to explain. This is very important. Look, first of all, get this book, all right? So what Jennifer has done here, see on the first page, it says Exhibit B on page 103, Exhibit 8, I'm sorry. Exhibit 8 on page 103. So I would suggest you flip to page 103 and look at Exhibit 8, and I would fold that page down in this book. So later on, we can come back and you can see where it is and how it dovetails into everything else.
Yeah,
See what I'm saying?
Exhibit 8 is basically the schedule of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance for the general fund. So this is one you want to look at every year when the audit comes out. So as you see, we had extra revenues of $662,467, and you can see the breakdown again of where those came in. And for specific questions on why did we have this much more in this category, another one, I would recommend we could compose an email to Ms. Murray, and she can dig into that a little bit more for us, or Mr. Daniel. But we had $662,000 additional. On the expenditure side, which is in this same report, our expenditures were overall lower than budgeted by $784,000. As you can see the breakdown by function, general administration, judicial, public safety, public works. Those are the various functions of the county where departments are in those functions. The biggest one, public safety, I will note, the reason that one was $437,000 is because that encompasses both Central Virginia Regional Jail, Rappahannock Juvenile Detention Center, as well as our Sheriff's Department and EMS. And so we saved, based on true-ups with the jail and the Juvenile Detention Center, that was probably half of that amount. The other part was the sheriff's department turned back in or did unused funds of 186,000, I believe, on the sheriff's department side. So if you take the 784 plus the 662, what dropped to fund balance was basically $1.4 million at the end of the year. The next thing I wanted to note is the breakdown of fund balance, because that at the end of the year, fund balance, which is not in, it's on my screen now, and it should be on the PowerPoint, page 5, slide 5. There's non-spendable, restricted, assigned, and then there's unassigned. And I've broken down unassigned into two categories. Non-spendable is your prepaid expenses, restricted is your unspent bond proceeds or your opioid funds or topping funds, donations, things like that. Assigned fund balance, that's your debt and budget stabilization fund, that's your joint stabilization fund, your capital projects, and anytime there's an opening balance appropriation planned in the budget, that hits the assigned. Unassigned, I broke it down into two categories for you. One is restricted and one is non-restricted. Restricted unassigned basically is our rainy day reserve fund. It's in our financial policies, which we have to set aside a minimum of 18% of total expenses. Plus, we have an asset maintenance policy amount as well. So if taking the equation with the 18% of our expenses, we have to maintain $10,030,098 at the end of fiscal year 25 audit for unassigned, restricted, rainy day reserves.
Total expenses being what, excluding schools and all that stuff?
Yeah, it's the county expenditures and the school expenditures minus the transfer we send to the county.
Okay.
So, or minus the transfer we send to the school, excuse me. So there is a formula, I think, on my next page.
Okay.
But at the end of the year, unassigned, non-restricted, unassigned fund balance, not restricted, and it's available for use, your discretion, $4,830,000. I can't read my number. I don't have my glasses on. Thank you. For a total fund balance of $25.5 million.
Yeah.
That's end of year FY25. I just wanted to show you the audit results. So the breakdown of assigned, on the next slide, I just wanted to show you how that's broken down. And you can see we have our capital tourism, our debt stabilization, budget stabilization reserve, joint services, opening balance appropriation, county reassessment, and sheriff. And the equation that we use to calculate that is on this slide. And again, that assigned general fund balance is $10,429,290 at the end of FY25 results. And then the next slide, slide 7, this is a breakdown of the unassigned restricted, which is the $10 million. And there's your formula there. On this slide, if I don't have my glasses on, but you can see, make this bigger, excuse me, the formula. It's FY25 budgeted expenditures plus the school operating minus the transfer to the schools. So the $50,858,256 is the number that we use to calculate the 14% on, and the 4%. So at FY25, that number, that rainy day reserve that we have to keep in unassigned restricted fund balance was $9,154,486. And on the asset maintenance replacement and enhancement policy, that comes from the audit report. I've got notes there, page 19, Exhibit 1, that's how that is calculated. And that number came to $875,612 for a total unassigned restricted of $10,030,098.
Okay, so that the 875,000 is found on page 19 of Exhibit 1, right?
Yeah, Exhibit 1, I'll have to
Make sure
give
it's
you the
still on
page. Hold
Exhibit
on one
1.
second.
Or Exhibit 1 is actually page 20.
Okay, well, I think that was probably from the FY '24, but that is the exhibit you want to look at, Exhibit 1. So those are the calculations that I put together after each audit is done, and when we're doing the budget season, project what those are going to be for the next year. So in summary on this unassigned non-restricted of $4,830,000, this, again, is the amount of unassigned fund balance that's available to use for situations such as the need for an opening balance appropriation, if we need to. It's 29.2% of our total expenditures, broken down between the restricted and the non-restricted, as you can see there. And then on the next slide, I just listed for you what are the other fund balances at the end of the year, other governmental fund balances at year end. The schools, the main one with the schools was they had their cafeteria fund. I assume they must have received some monies come in from federal or state, but they had a fund balance on their cafeteria fund, activities fund, and their non-major funds. But on the operating side, there was no fund balance on the schools side. And on the county capital improvement fund, it shows a negative balance because it carries a negative balance because there are outstanding liability accounts, accounts payable and unearned grant revenue. So that is something to factor in. And I put the page numbers on this slide for you, so you can look at that as you would like. And then the last thing I wanted to mention tonight was what was our FY26 general fund balance preliminary projection during FY26 budget planning. So we know what the results were for 25, but now we need to kind of figure out with 26, what is that unassigned fund balance going to be at the end of 26 to carry into 27? So this was our projection, and I still feel like it's a good solid projection on the last slide of $3,677,328. And you can see there the breakdown of fund balance would go from that 25.5 million down to 23.46 million at the end of FY26. And that was mainly because we had an opening balance at appropriation, and some other things. But
Yeah, it was a couple.
the main thing was the opening balance appropriation. But still a healthy, unassigned, non-restricted fund balance of $3,677,328. Obviously, we still need to be fiscally responsible because we have a lot of capital expenditures coming. But I did want to mention where we're at with unassigned fund balance, restricted and non-restricted, and take any questions back that I can answer.
And that could be a strategy for the 650,000 for school.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Jonathan. I didn't answer your question, Jonathan.
No, you did.
So this is where I would recommend that the board would fund that capital request of 650 because that's where we have it.
So, Mike, what did Stacy say? It wasn't like he wants to order this tomorrow.
It was like
But-
you could go anytime. It was a ticking time bomb.
What's the lead time? If you wait till it breaks, then what happens?
I think he was
Gonna
gonna
do it
come
over
back
this-
with the lead time, but he said even if they had like the equipment the next day, like you would have to do this over a summer break. There wasn't enough
Right,
time.
right.
Excuse me, I'm off
So-
the microphone. There's not enough time to do it during spring break.
Right.
I'll
So
ask
it's
him for an update
FY27.
on lead time, because I'm not sure he
don't
had
have
that
to
that
wait.
night.
You don't have to wait until FY27 if it needs to be done sooner because, we know that unassigned at the end of FY25 what the balance is.
Yeah, but I'm saying, in order to get it done, they would need time that they couldn't even get it done over our spring break, right?
Correct. What I think, my opinion, the next appropriate step, assuming, but I gotta look for consensus here, or when you go to take a vote, that if you are looking to fund the 650,000 projected new CIP needs of the schools, if you are fine with using unrestricted or unassigned non-restricted, which that's your balance after all your policies, which I would recommend because you're not going back to the taxpayer, because you have money there above and beyond your policies. Then we would find out from the schools.
Yes.
Find out from the schools, what is the lead time? And then, let's say it's 8 weeks, well, I think from the time you have your public hearing and approve your budget, then I think that would green light them to order it. You may not have appropriated, because you generally do that like late May, early June, to make sure the funds are July 1. So, again, you have some time because you have to have a public hearing once we give you a final budget presentation, hear from the public. But in the interim, I'll check with Mr. Timmons to see if he can get a lead time and let you all know. Because if the lead time is, 26 weeks, we should probably know that. But they do plan on, Mr. Chairman, replacing this during the summer if this is a funded project.
Yeah, but so we could appropriate it in FY '26 if we wanted.
You could.
If need be, yes.
To your point earlier, Mr. Chairman, and I can look at the numbers, my mind's probably lost me by this time of day, but there is a rule that, if you're more than 1% for a budget amendment of your current operating budget, you would have to go out for a public hearing
You're under
before
that.
amending the budget. But I'm not sure if we're at
I
the
have that.
6 million, right?
I have it. 700, I believe it's 702,000. So I can pull that up real quick.
That's what it would take to trigger a
Yes.
budget amendment.
per the code.
Public
yeah.
hearing.
Right.
Yeah.
Public hearing to do the budget amendment.
Let me go to that.
Okay.
Ms. Warren, excellent job. I'd say that in private or in public. This is excellent analysis.
So
Thank you.
when some people, probably Jim wouldn't, look at this and say, what the, you got $5 million.
702.
Well,
702, so we're below it.
sitting in the bank and you're still taking my tax money, and it's not exactly true. And this is where we need to be smart enough to, you're not gonna go into very much detail, but there are restrictions that we have to comply with.
Ms. Warren has a summary on those.
The
if you were to hand
agencies
it.
say, you've got fund balance, why can't you give us some of that?
Yeah.
Why can't you give us all of that?
Well, it also,
Why don't you wipe out your savings, tomorrow on something, huh?
Yeah.
it also, I
Because-
feel like we get penalized a
Prudent.
lot for grants, because some grants look at your fiscal stress. Are you a fiscally stressed county? And because we are responsible, we, as a group, that it goes down to the citizens who come to public hearings, they don't look at the fact that all these requirements that we have to meet. We don't want to wait to be irresponsible in order to, qualify for funding. So there is a little detriment, but I still rather stand on the side of fiscal responsibility. But I want to let you know that has defeated some of our grant opportunities.
Were we just being totally, really conservative when we were 784,000 lower than, expenses were 784,000 lower?
Yeah.
And we're just being really conservative when we're first budgeting this?
No, we had no idea with the true ups at the jail and the juvenile detention center. So that alone was 200 and something thousand.
Which I don't think will happen.
And then the sheriff's department was 187,000, but they have a pretty large budget. And
I
then,
think VPA or CSA,
oh
one
yes,
of the
oh
two.
yes. So DSS, when they come to us for their local contribution, they were under. I want to say theirs was like 133,000 last year. But for the most part, overall, because we really tightened down on budgets, the budgets are very slim. They came in a lot slimmer than the year prior to that, so.
A lot of times too, if you get within, say, 1% of the overall budget, but when you look at that, whether it's the schools or the county, if you're turning back 1% or less, it's still gonna be a six-figure number. But it has been tightened up a lot, I would say. But generally, that's, the true-ups definitely played a huge role in that.
But
I mean,
Which
well
is a
done,
good
but I
position.
just,
Well, I look at the revenue side too. What anomalies do we have there? General property tax, I mean, that's why I was quizzing them earlier. It's okay, you know, last year, I think they ended up adding another 100,000 or so to general property taxes.
I would say it's new construction and some new values. Because, well, hold on, this is
But I thought new
FY,
construction was down.
this is
FY
FY
25.
'25, so most of that would be a newer construction.
oh, from 20, okay.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
talking about FY '25.
Yeah.
all the-
the revenue from use of money and property, part of that is interest income. We earned a lot more interest income than we planned in FY '25. Plus, that's also the transfer station billing and the ambulance billings that we do and get revenue on. I think the ambulance billing's in there. So those,
But we're gonna, to your point, I think it was in your presentation somewhere, we're gonna use up, so take ARPA money, for example, our broadband money, large sums are gonna come off the board. So that's gonna be and of course, some of that you can't earn but so much because arbitrage comes in, but it will be less money in the kitty, if you will. Same thing as we roll out these projects, you all debt financed in fall of 2025. As those roll off the board, it's gonna be less of the interest income.
but I really just wanted you to see, now that we're going into putting the budget together, to see what the bottom line looks like and how much short we are. What do we really have in the unassigned, non-restricted category to pull from? Not that, I'm not suggesting that we pull money from it, but it's reality. We need to understand what that number is to fund some things, I'm sure. So, any questions after this meeting and you go through the PowerPoint, just send me an email and I'll be glad to answer them.
But our starting point with coming to that number is gonna be, everything's all in. Like, you got all the CIP stuff in there from everybody's request, all the additional, you know,
Side by side.
bodies, you know, FTEs and stuff, it's all in just for laughs.
Right.
I'm gonna have to say this, and it might be wrong, but the $650,000 for the units at the school system, okay, I understand that, and you have to do it. But that school system's budget's gone up $2 million this year because they're getting more state money. And I think they need to tighten their belts a little bit over there, because they're just basically saying, well, we got money, we're gonna do this and that. Well, next year, what's gonna happen? You know, we're short, and we don't wanna hurt the kids. I can see it coming.
Mr. Chairman, if
That
I.
worries me. I mean, it really does. And
Right.
I'm not being critical of anybody, but it does worry me about that.
I would ask, you and I are having a little dialogue before the meeting starts, we definitely, obviously we work at your direction. And each budget season can look like whatever you want it to be, specifically when it comes to making decisions of keep this in, keep this out. So whether you all want to do that, as you hear each department's budget request, if you want to reserve a later date to do that, I know in the past, like, the discretionary spending, or a lot of it is through outside agencies, you've gone through the list as a whole, and then we update that sheet for that. That's one strategy. That's non-department, non-county department. On county departments, if you want to do the same thing, you can. In years past, you've said, hey, bring an administrative budget, show us what you think you would recommend. So just keep that in mind. I'm not saying you have to answer here tonight, but if you have some thoughts on that, let us know, because that helps us in budget prep and internal discussions we have on, all right, because there's going to be multiple versions of this when we get to the end of it, of the budget. So let us know how you want to trim or adjust, or you want to do it on the fly, or you want us to do a recommendation there at the end.
If you do decide to wait until Jonathan and I put together a proposed administrative budget and we bring it to you at the last, I think it's the last session, that whole session could be dedicated to us presenting, and we could do on-the-fly changes amongst what you're telling us, and I can be putting that into my smart sheet model, and it'll calculate for me right there what the impact is. That could be a strategy if you want.
I think that is the way we did it last year. Other than the outside agencies, we took that list one day and went down them all, you know. But after that, the departments, I think it was, y'all presented.
I thought that went pretty well, though.
Knowing and relayed to us what was removed, what was left in.
Yeah.
Because we've all heard it now, so.
Yeah.
How's that?
Sounds good.
When you do the outside agency, when is that?
As far as making decisions on what you want to fund.
Yeah.
Let's pull up.
Yeah, let me pull the calendar up. quick.
I mean, as an example, you guys heard full well what Noah's priorities would be.
I hear it, but I would have to hear, so for example, I don't know if you'd like to see things in categories, but I know on the labor side, this is probably the most requests I've seen, whether I set up there or set here. You know, so sure, we can make a recommendation, but we'd like to know from you which, if any, or all, or a portion of those requests, whether it's converting, again, whether it's converting PTEs to FTEs, or if it's adding a new person, we definitely would want to make sure we're fulfilling the board's wishes, because you may want to fulfill some of those, you may not. I want to be on the same page as you. I have some thoughts already, but it's ultimately your decision on that. I do think some of that you've already touched base on. If we're not completing the Hoover Ridge project, you probably don't need the 6. If you're gonna complete a portion of it, maybe you only fund 2 months of those requests. There's some options there. But Jennifer has the,
Yeah, so we have next week, a lot of the departments are coming in next week to finish up. That's basically the week of finishing up all the departments. And then our after next week, the March the 19th, was when we were going to present our proposed budget with the CIP and administrative fees. So we could, if you wish, we could plan another, one more budget work session, or if you wanted to kind of go through it prior to our administrative recommendation, we could plan another meeting, or we could present at the 19th, and on that night, have you give feedback on everything.
Is that the only thing on that 19th agenda?
Yeah, it's really just us presenting the budget, and the administrative fees.
what's the next date after that? Do you have anything?
Let me go look.
I think it has the full schedule. Because we still have to bring you admin fees, so there may be some adjustments. You heard us talk about tires earlier, for example. I know building may have some recommendations there, so our plan was to bring those departments back. If there are fee adjustments, they should speak to why, really justify it to the board. That would affect, you know, obviously revenue. Again, a lot of the stuff you're probably not making money, but we're trying to break even or keep up. What do you have on the schedule? So we have
19th, the 20th, we were going to do the advertisement, and the 31st was going to be the public hearing. And then we don't have to do the adoption of the budget until April 14th. So we have time. We could plan another meeting.
Yeah. So is there a preference on how you want to trim or adjust, if you will?
The schedule?
The schedule in order, you know, really get into what you want to keep in, what you want to take out, whether it's capital, positions. You still got to make a decision on insurance, COLA. Those are your big ticket items when it comes to the budget. So.
Yeah, me personally, I still think you guys are the closest to this stuff to to present. And, just be tracking.
Yeah, and I can have an itemized, you know, if we cut this, this, and this is the impact, and do it in real time. So.
When will we know what the comp board numbers are gonna be with respect to raises from the state?
I'll reach out to them. I mean, they're proposing 2%, but I don't know when the final.
I think one side was 2, was the other side 3? I'll check on that as well.
I think it's just
through-
2%. I did check with the surrounding counties and ask what they're doing for COLA, so I have that data as well that I can provide you with. So,
What are they doing? And
let me pull my
just
email up.
overall, 2%, wow.
So,
Were you expecting more?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was 3.
But
but
Social
they-
Security was 2.4, I think. wasn't
I
wasn't
thought it was 2.7 when we looked at that.
yes. Oh, so Rappahannock, they're likely having a 2% COLA plus, up to 2% pay for performance, no final decisions. Orange says they're estimating 3% at this point. And then I have Louisa saying they're using 4% for county employees and school classified staff, and a 3% increase for certified staff. And then on Culpeper, they're using 2.8% COLA, and then a 1 or 2% merit-based on top of that for evaluation scores.
And that's how some of those localities keep up. Like you heard about, we get behind in year 5, year 6. That's how they're doing it. With all due respect, some of those localities have a different level of commerce than we do, so it makes it possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, Louise, and
Little.
the extra $180 million a year starting to come in, that makes a big difference.
Yeah. And like the town of Culpeper, you know, they had, before data centers, they have a huge enterprise fund. I believe they're carrying 0 debt service. So, I mean, that's a good position to be in, right? But,
So,
Ms. Warren, you do a fabulous job.
Thank you.
Jonathan, you do a fabulous job. I don't know what we do without you guys.
it's team effort, but please keep in mind if there's a way you want to approach, or if you want a recommendation of how to approach, we can do that as well. But at some point, we're going to have to decide, I say ultimately it's you all, but what do you want to fund outside agencies? Who, what level? The other stuff, if you just say administratively do, I mean, I think we've got a good understanding, but we still like to hear what you think. I mean, you see these position requests like we do, you may feel a certain way about the program, so I need to know that. I may have one thought on community paramedicine, you may have something else, or other positions, so it's not, at the end of the day, my decision, it's carrying out what you all would like to see.
and I think from my perspective, I have a good handle on what's going on within the departments to make a good recommendation on things, but on the outside agency side, I really would like your input.
I think we've got outside aid. I feel comfortable going down the list like we did last year. Right?
Yeah, I was just wondering about how creative you've gotten with the insurance. I'm thinking about that.
Yeah, well, we have the model set up that we can, I have not had a chance to do anything else with that. So I would love to hear your thoughts on whether you like, the keeping it standardizing the percentage by plan and maybe having a higher payment towards the lesser expensive plans. And then do you, passing on the cost, do you want to fully take on the full increase, or do you want to try to split a portion of it? I mean,
And
The
we
im-
have a $500 deductible plan, right?
we do.
Say whack it.
So,
What's the next one?
1,000, yeah. I do,
$500, that's expensive, man. But anyhow, that's what she's asking us to.
yeah, I mean,
Right, it's-
and what I'll do too, I'll spend a little bit more time looking at the other localities data. We just got Culpeper's in. And I'll just compare the plans one more time to see what we're up against with the other counties. So we don't want to whack any plans that, that could,
Push people out.
right.
And I think you were, hope you don't mind me saying this, but you were looking at maybe scenarios or strategies too, that, right now, we're sitting at a 3% recommended COLA, if that got back down to a different percentage, obviously there's some more money there, so do you try to apply that in figuring out your health care? I do agree with the sheriff, he didn't say it quite this way, but whatever you decide to do, please, look at it as an approach where we're not shrinking take-home pay, so whether they're not getting the increase or not, I'd like to see them get something, but at least consider that, because if they're taking a hit in the paycheck, I think it amplifies some of the comments you've heard on retention. Well, the example I'd give, and I'm thankful you all get to make the decisions now, but when I sit on the board, sometimes you get these hefty numbers, and 16.7% increase is a hefty number. 1 year it was 30%. So you had to decide, all right, can we afford just to do insurance, or do insurance in COLA or merit? And there were times in those years, and this was not a factor of the Great Recession that we had, because those were tough years. But, I always tend to believe, at least don't have the take-home pay shrink, because that's kind of defeating the purpose. But you all make those decisions. You make great decisions. We just want to keep you informed so you can have all the information needed. So we can play with COLA. I think when we did look at Social Security, that was one of the variables, or one of the sites we went to. But certainly Jennifer has a good basis on some options that you all can consider.
And everybody's got that, sent that spreadsheet out to everybody, I think, right? On the insurance thing.
It's in the OneDrive folder.
Under Excel.
What I don't know, and I know the chairman asked the question, is we pool with the schools. The schools plan is to absorb that whole 16.7. So what I know, just like 1 year we did more than the schools, either side, because we're a tight-knit community, you're gonna hear it either way. If there's not parity. But I know the chairman asked me, I do not know what that number is of them absorbing the 16.7. I know it was asked. Jennifer does a good job where she has a census of, she can tell you how many people are in each plan. We'll be curious to see what that number is for them, as we're considering health insurance, because we pooled together. Just a thought.
I did ask Tilly to ask the surrounding counties if they pool with their schools, and they don't. I don't know why. Is it because
Does she have did we ask population, or as far as, not
Maybe.
population, but number of employees?
I'll see
I
why.
know that's our factor here, but I do think we need to shop it out and talk to different brokers, but it may be the number of participants.
Maybe.
I think Culpeper County, the county, not the town, pool together.
Okay. So there you have it. Anything further this evening? Okay, we're back to public comment. How about that? Okay. Okay. Early voting starts tomorrow? Yeah.
Our district will be 54% of the vote will be in Arlington and Fairfax.
They know more than we do.
That should tell you something. Yeah, they know more than we do. So just buckle up.
Okay. Any further public comment? Hearing none, we'll close.
Or a question. What do we gotta do to get this screen working?
So we've got a
They're
work
working
order for
on it.
that. They're working with the vendor to get them scheduled to come in.
This has hurt my neck.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
At least you don't have to look at
I even asked that question Mr. Snyder. I said, if we can't get it for Thursday, can we have it Tuesday? And he's like, I said, please do what you can. So I do know it's in queue in the work order. I just don't know if it's been scheduled yet.
Okay.
Well, I made a decision, and I decided that AI is the new encyclopedia. 'Cause we don't use encyclopedias
So,
I've got a dictionary involved, I like dictionary.
we have no closed session, so could I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Mr. Chairman.
Second?
We're on second or third.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed? All right.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you, Carney.
Yeah.